Sorry, that one was kind of silly.
This time, whether I make a mistake or not, I'm just going to go with it.
Okay.
One day, while visiting Mario, Princess Toadstool was picking flowers in the garden. Suddenly, out of nowhere, Bowser appeared and grabbed the princess again, like you'd expect anyone else to. Mario, hearing Toadstool's screams for help, bravely sped off towards Bowser's keep. After an epic battle on the chandeliers, Mario trounced Bowser for the millionth time, saving the princess once again. Then, before they could celebrate, everyone felt Bowser's keep begin to shake. From the sky, a huge sword crashed into the keep. What's gonna happen now? Mario gets yeeted back to his hut where Toad is waiting. He explains the story in great detail. The sword took over the keep, and he, Princess Toadstool, and Bowser were sent flying in different directions. It's time for Mario to jump into action all over again. Welcome to the 10th episode of Retrotopia and the 5th attempt to start this podcast. A video game podcast that started when an American and a Canadian decided to discuss old games and share them with the world. The goal of this podcast is to relive our youth while at the same time introducing each other to the world they missed. That makes no sense, but I don't care anymore. We realized early on that Sam was a Sega kid and Brian was a Nintendo kid. After many talks and reminiscing, we devised some games we would like to play and chat about. Also, as this is the 10th episode, it does count as one of our first milestones, so we picked a game that isn't only popular in the history of RPGs, but is current as it has been re-released on the Switch, Super Mario RPG. Adding to that, Sam has also never played this game before now, but before we get into the game, Sam and I will reflect on how things are going, some of the challenges we face in our first 10 weeks, and what we hope to accomplish in 2024. So with that, I ask you, Sam, how's the last 10 weeks been going?
Really great. Sometimes it takes us a few tries to get the intro down, but
Oh, so many tries this time.
but it's been really great. I've been having a blast. Kind of like it's nice to be able to, take something that's just kind of a casual hobby and put it towards some sort of creative outlet.
Yeah,
So I've
it's
been having
been
a good time.
a fun way to play some games I've missed in my life and probably otherwise wouldn't have played unless, you kind of sold them to me like you did.
Right. Yeah. Like rock and roll racing.
Yeah, or Fantasy Star.
Fantasy Star.
Yeah, which I'm currently playing. I'm almost done as the time of this recording, but that episode will come out before this one, so we'll pretend that I've finished it already.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm also playing Fantasy Star, and it's um maybe I don't know, maybe I liked it more the first time. We'll have to see. We'll have to see as I go on.
yeah, there's been a lot of games like that in my life. Always better the first time. You have fond memories, and then you play them again. Mega Man Legends, and you just don't like them as much.
Yeah, the better left in the past.
Yeah. So, starting this podcast was your idea, Sam. We don't want to tell that story.
Well, yeah, you kind of restarted one of your old discords, and I sent you a message like, "Hey, man, what do you got going on? You starting a podcast? It'd be awesome. I'd listen." Like just kind of giving you a little support there, and
Dipping your
um,
toe into the water.
yeah, nice. Um, and yeah, just kind of went from there. Just kicking ideas around and um, throwing names back and forth, and not
Yeah,
calling
and
each
you
other names like.
you said you're really interested in doing that podcast as well. So it kind of
I was,
got my
yeah.
gears sparked.
Yeah,
I
I
had
was actually.
plans. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I was interested in and I might still one of these days, just depending on how much time I have with everything, but starting a Star Wars Legends podcast. You're just like doing kind of like book reviews and comic and video game reviews on like all the old canon that's been retired by Disney. I think that stuff is really interesting, and there's a ton of it, and it's still out there. It's still popular, and But anyways, like that was going to be kind of a solo project. I was kind of floundering on it myself, and I was like, hey, let's just team up and do this. This sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, and this has given us the experience because I also have a project I wanted to start. About, I don't know, about 2 years ago, about the history of video gaming in total. So it's my biggest problem was I can never be comfortable with actual podcasting, but the last 10 weeks has really helped me out, and I think we've kind of developed ourselves quite well over the last 10 weeks. Like our rapport has gotten better considering we've never actually met in real life. So
yeah, sometimes it's just better with a friend.
oh yeah, and I mean we talked video games anyways when we were playing SnowRunner there all the time. So
Yeah.
why not put it on a recording and give it to the world? I mean,
Yeah,
SnowRunner is a terrible game, but it's great with friends.
yeah, I feel like SnowRunner was mostly like, you were Pickle or because putting me on your back and pulling me out of the mud, and like I
If
always
you've
felt like I
never,
was just piggybacking, like I was like a Yoda or whatever, and you were
yeah,
taking me across the
Skywalker,
swamp.
through the mud you take me.
Yeah.
No, it if you've never played SnowRunner, it's a game where you have large, heavy vehicles and they have to go through the mud and they get stuck 99% of the time until you get the Mastodon, which is
Oh
a
yeah.
DLC truck you can get, and then you just drive through everything.
Yeah. And
But
and the tutorial level is bullshit because you can't, like, I don't know how your friggin' house is on a cliff face and you somehow got up there with a truck, but every time
yeah,
you attempted to drive away from your house, you just kind of fall off a cliff.
yeah. I mean, I spent most of my time on my roof, anyways. That's
Yeah.
I just flipped all the time. But
Yeah.
enough about that great game. Where do you see us going from here, Sam? Like, where do you see us? What do you see us doing in 2024? Anything big?
Well, hopefully onward and upward, and covering some more great games. What I like is the idea that we can cover game. There's a lot of. I mean, we don't need to kid ourselves. There's a lot of retro game podcasts out there, but and a lot of great ones. But we don't necessarily have to cover all the same stuff. I think there's plenty of room in the pool for everyone, because there's, like, they may not get the most downloads, but you got, we talked about Ren and Stimpy the other week, and I don't think anyone else is really talking about that game.
Yeah, and
It's
that's
just
kind
stuff
of
like,
one of the things you wanted to do was cover some of the lesser talked about games where
yeah,
I said we need to spatter in some more popular ones to draw
yeah,
attention. So they
definitely.
seem to be
Yeah.
working for us. So
Yeah. And then just as far as, like, onward and into 2024, I think, as long as we're, consistent, getting episodes out, and people listen, if we grow the listener base, that would be great.
yeah, I'm
Otherwise,
definitely hoping for that.
if we're just you know kind of plateaued, and we're just doing this for fun, then hey, that's cool too.
Yeah, and that's what it's about, right? It's not our livelihood, so we don't really have to sit there and struggle over this. We can just have fun with it.
Hmm.
But for you, podcasting started with uh, Retro Wars, right? You did your first podcast with Danny Carroll from Retro Wars.
Yeah, I did over the summer. That was my first foray into it. It was pretty interesting. So I kind of sat back and let the pros do most of the talking, and I just kind of added my thoughts when I thought they were relevant. So
Yeah, and you can find that if you search Retro Wars and you look up the Final Fantasy VII Advent Children episode.
yep.
Sam is featured on that with Chris Copland and Danny Carroll.
Yeah, it was a fun time. It was I was definitely like kind of nervous going into it, but those guys are super nice and just kind of were like,
Oh
hey,
yeah,
don't worry about it, keep it loose. And
yeah, they hold your hand through the whole process. And Chris Copland and Shane Koski from the Retro Hangover invited me on to talk Soul Blazer, and that was my first podcast. And my God, those guys are like the smartest people in retro gaming I know. Like they knew stuff I didn't even think about, and they have a rapport that's really good and something I've been trying to use to mimic. Plus, their podcast is outstanding, and we've stolen a part of it for our podcast, and that would be the section that comes after the chit chat, which is the tombstone data of a game. And I'm going to straight up admit we stole that from them. It's, imitation, or what is
Yes.
it?
Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
Yeah, except I don't
Yeah.
want to use flattery. It's grand larceny, we'll call it.
Go grand larceny.
Yeah. But no, Retro Hangover is another good one. Again, if you want to hear me on my first podcast, you can go check them out, and it's the Soul Blazer episode.
Well,
But
Brian, you
most,
did like the magical mystery tour. I think there was like 3 or 4 weeks in a row where there's a handful of pods that I listened to that like I couldn't turn without hearing your sweet
oh
voice.
yeah, Retro Wars. I have a good rapport with Danny there, and I've done a couple of episodes with him.
Yeah,
Plus, during Remember the Game, I won one of the charity things for his 24-hour extra live stream, and I
yeah.
got to guest host one of the episodes. So I was originally going to do Brave Fencer Musashi, a cute little RPG,
Hmm.
and he ended up not being able to get it to work. So I switched over to Dark Cloud, and that game almost broke him.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, but that was a fun time. But it also helped inspire me to do this, how I present myself on this
Yeah.
podcast.
Gets your chops going.
All right, so you have any last words for the audience before we get into the next section?
No, let's get into this.
All right, well, I just want to say thanks everybody for listening, and we're going to have Sam, unless, of course, his cough comes back too harshly, but you should be hearing Sam stealing the Retro Hangover Tombstone data.
Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars, released in 1996, emerged as a groundbreaking collaboration between gaming giants Nintendo and Square. Departing from the conventional platforming style of the Mario series, the game introduced a turn-based RPG format. This departure was a notable shift in gameplay dynamics, showcasing a willingness to experiment with the beloved Mario franchise. The narrative of Super Mario RPG follows Mario's journey teaming up with Bowser and Princess Toadstool, as well as new characters Geno and Mallow to thwart the plans of malevolent antagonist Smithy. This engaging story and innovative gameplay contributed to the game's critical acclaim and established it as one of the standout RPGs on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Visually, Super Mario RPG pushed the boundaries of the SNES with its impressive graphics. Pre-rendered 3D sprites for characters and environments provided a three-dimensional depth that was a departure from the visual style of other Mario games, but was widely appreciated for its charm and creativity. Yoko Shimomura's masterful soundtrack added another layer to the game's appeal. The memorable tunes complemented the gameplay and contributed significantly to the overall experience, leaving a lasting impression on players. While there hasn't been a direct sequel to Super Mario RPG, its influence is evident in subsequent Mario RPG titles. The game's success paved the way for series like Paper Mario and Mario & Luigi, which continued to explore the RPG genre with Mario's iconic characters, each bringing its unique spin to the formula. Super Mario RPG remains a classic and is fondly remembered by fans for its unique blend of genres, engaging storytelling, and the successful fusion of Nintendo and Square's creative energies. Released in 2023 on the Nintendo Switch with updated graphics and orchestrated soundtrack, younger fans of Mario have a chance to play a modern version of this game.
All right, thanks, Sam. I hope it was you, because we're recording this after we actually record the discussion, so we don't know yet. But it's
It should
time
be
to get
me.
into the game. So tell me, Sam, what you've never played this game before. So what's your overall kind of generic thoughts about Super Mario RPG?
Okay. I've vented my frustrations to you a little bit at some aspects of the game that I did not enjoy, but um and I know that this is a very beloved game for a lot of people in the that grew up Nintendo kids and Super Nintendo kids that had managed to get their hands on this. Um, I like it. It's a good game. It's gorgeous. It looks great. I mean the rendering and the just like a perfect combination of excuse me, perfect combination of SquareSoft and Nintendo uh, juices mixing together. Um, but I think in general, uh, I don't, and I kind of have been trying to formulate this thought for a while as I've been thinking about it. I don't love uh like quirky RPGs. And like let me explain what I mean by that. Like
No, it's too late. You're canceled.
I'm canceled, yeah. No, they're just not my favorite. They're not my cup of tea. So like you think about like Earthbound, I thought Earthbound was okay, and I thought Super Mario RPG was okay. There were like aspects of it that um I didn't I didn't super enjoy, and that's I think because I really enjoy traditional JRPGs that have like really set rules. Um, you know,
You have an
things are,
example game you can give?
oh gosh, like Final Fantasy, 1, 2, 3, like the whole run of Final Fantasy. Like you
Okay.
talk about like systems of like elementals, and you know that like this is going to be weak against this, or like Pokemon, for example. And that's kind of an easy example because that's Pokemon is kind of an easy game, but like Fantasy Star we're playing right now, really straightforward. Um, just everything is based like you don't know, you're not going to get a real curveball necessarily. And sometimes like the curveballs that you get in a weird RPG like an Earthbound or like Undertale, I didn't like Undertale. That might be a lukewarm take, but like having things that like, well, how would I have known that, or how would I have guessed that? You just have to like do these weird little kind of like illogical moves sometimes that I don't like. But otherwise, I feel like I'm being overly negative, but otherwise I think the game was great.
Yeah, and that's good. See, I like my history with this game is pretty much the day it came out. My introduction to role playing games was Final Fantasy II on the Super Nintendo, or what we know as Final Fantasy IV now. My brother brought it home, and I watched him play, and I was fairly young at the time, so it was not really in my wheelhouse. I wanted more action and less reading, and then I decided to start playing it, and then I kind of fell in love with the idea of it. So every time a new RPG came out, either my brother would bring it home or we'd get it for Christmas or something like that. And Super
Mhm.
Mario RPG was one of them. And just everything about the game just resonated with me. The graphics, the characters, the music, the battle system, all that stuff. I just absolutely loved it. And I've loved it ever since. And I will not have as hot of a take on it as you. But yeah, yeah. It's just a game I can play multiple times and never get bored with.
Yeah, I mean, I have the remake. I'm definitely gonna throw the remake. I have not been able to play it yet, but I will definitely throw it on it at some point
Oh,
in the
that's
near
right.
future.
You played the original.
I did, yeah.
Yes. When I
Um,
talked to Danny about this, he was playing the remake there, so I had that in my mind.
yeah, it sounds like there's some good quality of life improvements.
There is. I found the remake to be a lot easier than the original because of the quality of life improvements.
Which is kind of funny because it's like, not that it's like baby's first RPG or anything, but it's really not meant to
Chris
be.
Copeland.
What?
He called it baby's first
Oh,
RPG.
did you? Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Here we go stealing from.
Oh no, he called it on the comments of Retro Wars there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've not caught up with that episode yet, but yeah, I don't.
They don't call him Chris Hot Take Copeland for nothing.
Yeah, that's right. Hot take machine. I think, yeah, it's not the hardest game, but it's definitely got some teeth at some points that we can talk about that I found relatively
Yeah.
frustrating.
What did you think of the graphics though? How about like for a Super Nintendo game, the three-quarter view top-down 3D models and everything? What was your
Yeah, the
take on
models
that?
looked amazing.
Yeah, for a
It,
Super Nintendo game, I mean,
yeah,
outstanding. Just everything was colorful, and considering it was very pixelated, it still looked very beautiful.
yeah, and I mean, like we were pretty much months away at this point from the Nintendo 64 coming out, I believe, or they were concurrent. I can't remember exactly, but um, it looks great. I mean, there's the being able to kind of have that range of motion was really cool, and not something that you really saw a whole lot on the Super Nintendo. I think the only other um, like another really good example of that kind of movement is like Sonic 3D Blast, and I don't particularly care for that game. I don't do well on the isometric um, style. So I think we can get into that. That was one of my frustrations with some of the start stuff where it made you like kind of platform through.
Yeah,
But
and I had that problem too with the game because yeah, you follow the shadow on the ground there, but you're always like off a little bit. And I'm not great with it either, so
yeah,
I had some problems that way too.
and I'm not used to like I was really trying because you had mentioned that to me, like try following your shadow, and I was like, oh yeah, that kind of works. And then you kind of are not used to having to do that, and so if you aren't thinking about it or you kind of like lapse in that attention to the shadow, it just like then I fall again, or
Yeah,
I
and
hit the
there's some
platform.
spots where it's like you are on these swinging blocks and you have to, jump on them. And if you hit the block, it breaks the timing of it, and you can't get the chest at the end unless you fix it. And it just becomes kind of tedious after a while.
Yeah, there was one particular, and I think it was like it was relatively early in the game, I think, and it was like a not a secret, but it was kind of an off the path block. But there were these. I don't know if you remember those swings, and you had to
Yeah,
jump from swing or move from swing to swing. And
yeah,
when you were on them or trying to, you could kind of block them and slow them down and get them um, like synced back up again. And I
yeah,
was
and
having such a hard time. And it was like, finally, I was like, I'm gonna do this. And I got so like, I wasted so much time on that because I was like, I will not be defeated by this fucking swing. This is so
yeah, and
stupid.
like you can do it. You just have to like time it right, and one little mistake just fucks you up. I know
Yeah.
exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. And then I'd fall off of it, but then I'd have to kind of like resync them by like jumping in front of one to kind of like get them back like timed right and then try
Yeah.
to go over it again.
And yeah, eventually you get it, and you feel that kind of sense of satisfaction of having gotten it there.
Yeah, you get it, and it's like the item is fine, it's okay, but it was like, yeah, I did it, and then I was like, well, fuck, that was kind of stupid and a waste of time.
Yeah, and I guess that segues us right into the controls there, since we're talking about the jumping.
Mhm.
So in the overworld, you can jump, and I don't know if you really run around. I just have a natural habit of holding down the Y button on the Super Nintendo controller, and I don't know if it makes you run or not. I can't remember.
I think it does, yeah, even
Yeah,
in the original, it did.
so you kind of get that classic Mario platforming in a three-quarter view top-down 3D environment there. So you can run and jump, and the only difference being instead of landing on a Goomba, you end up in a battle screen there, and you have the controls for the fight.
Hmm.
And I'm gonna tout this. I really like the controls where you have the three buttons. You have the Y, X, and the A button, and you have to tap like the Y button to get your specials, and you just keep tapping the Y button. So it's not
Yeah.
like a menu based thing. The new game actually uses a menu based. I just did not enjoy that as much.
Oh, you didn't? I might prefer that. It took me a while to get used to this like scheme where I was like, I would hit A for, or I would hit Y for special or whatever. I was like, yeah, I want to use that. And I would hit A and it would back me out. It took me a while. I was like, what the fuck is going on with this menu system? I was like, oh, okay, I get it. It's like if you want to progress through this menu, like X is the button you press if you want to use items. So you just
Yeah,
keep
and you
going
keep
on that.
pressing X until the item's selected, and you select the
Yeah.
character, and you hit X again.
But there were definitely points where I would like try to back out and then I'd end up defending or something like that because like B was defend or run, and I would be like trying to back out of a menu and hit it like one too many times, like, oh god damn it.
Yeah. See, I never ran into that problem because I guess I just got it right away. And even in the remake, you can actually set the options to go back to that mechanic, and I did that, and it made it feel a lot better.
Oh yeah, there you go. Well, I might try it both ways then if when I start playing the remake, but I wonder if, yeah, I wonder if I'll get that old like itch to like go back to that system because it actually, once you get used to it, it's kind of nice.
Yeah. Uh, the other thing I liked about the battles is the timing mechanic. Like,
Hmm.
you hit attack, and then he kicks the shell into the air, and as it comes down, you time the button, you hit A again, and it gives you an extra boost of an attack.
Yeah.
Same with defense.
Yeah, I actually I like the attack. I found it really difficult to try to time the defense one because those ones all had different, like depending on what the moves were, you could kind of sometimes block a special if you hit it or if you knew the time to hit it, but it doesn't suggest it for you or anything.
Yeah, and what really pissed me off about blocking was an enemy that would float in front of you, and then you'd think you have the timing down, but it would pause before it attacked you, and then
Yeah.
you would just do nothing.
Yeah.
Um,
Or like there would be enemies that have like two very similar attacks, but one had like a slight pause and one didn't.
yeah,
I was thinking of
yeah,
like
and
those, I think those like spear shy guys did something like that.
well, it's the same as getting the weapons there, and you have to relearn the timing because once you
Yes.
get it down, it becomes second nature, and then you get this new weapon, and all of a sudden you have to relearn the timing.
Right. Yeah. The biggest difference for me was like going back and forth with Mario between like gloves and hammer and shell.
My
Um,
problem was with Bowser. He was the one that took me the longest to learn the new weapon.
oh, that swing, that big like chain ball that he has.
Yeah,
That was a weird one.
or throwing the Mario weapon.
I love that one. That was my favorite one. He just picks up Mario and chucks him. Such a great weapon.
Oh yeah. Do you have anything else on the controls?
No, I think once you figure out that timing though for the attack, I thought the attack timing to get like the extra boost on your attack was like super forgiving.
Yeah.
There are games where it's like real narrow, um, timing. Like I'm thinking like even Paper Mario, I could barely hit those sometimes. But in this game, um, I thought they were very forgiving once you kind of figured out the general time that you should hit the button.
Yeah, and the only thing I ever had a problem with was Mario's special, which is jump there. And there's one challenge to get 30 jumps in a row. And you think you have the timing down. You're doing like, because it's rhythmic.
Yep.
So the timing doesn't speed up as you go. So as you're jumping, you think you have the timing down. And for some reason, you're a fraction of a second off, and Mario ends the jump. And it's just like, bitch.
Yeah, I'm never gonna get that. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. Well, you should, because, that's bragging rights right there.
Yeah, but I don't have the patience to sit there.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you don't have the friends to brag to.
Both.
It's my problem.
Yeah.
I just go on Twitter and then, nobody listens to me.
Brag to an empty room.
Exactly. Talking to my dog.
Yeah, me too.
It licked my face. It means it accepts me.
Right.
All right, so enough about bestiality. Let's move into the
Oh
music
god.
because that's a great segue.
Yeah.
Because yeah, anyways, I'm not gonna press that one. The music in this game is outstanding, and I'm not gonna let you say otherwise.
No, I wouldn't say otherwise.
Like,
It is great. Um
yeah. And before we get right into the music, I'm just going to put a supercut of some of the songs in the game right here. And it's going to be about 2 minutes if you want to skip, but don't because it is great music.
don't skip it.
So that was just some of the songs you can hear in the game, and honestly, the whole soundtrack is just phenomenal, in my opinion. Composed by Yoko Shimomura. I can't pronounce Japanese names. I'm sorry.
Shimomura.
And she has done some stuff. And me and Sam were looking it up before we started recording, but things like Parasite Eve, Streets of Rage 4. What was the one that shocked you? So I could just
Um,
look it up again.
well, you said Street Fighter 2, and I had remembered hearing somewhere that it was she was actually responsible for Guile's theme, which is like a big
Oh
Street
yeah,
Fighter 2
yeah.
track that folks seem to enjoy.
Yeah, and some of the soundtracks she's either done or been a part of is Breath of Fire, Street Fighter 2, Live Alive, Super Mario RPG, Parasite Eve. I'm not going to go through them all, obviously. Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, and 3, as
Mm-hmm.
well as some of the offshoot games with funny numbers and names, and the email one, Reply Chain of Memories. Xenoblade, she was a part of, and yeah, Final Fantasy 15, I think is the only other one I'm just going to mention before I just give up. And the last game she was
Lots
a
of
part
stuff.
of any note was Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope in 2022.
Yeah, lots of stuff. Like not lightweight stuff either.
No,
This is a major player in video game music, and a lot of tracks that, and not a name that like a lot of people probably know, which is kind of
yeah,
fun. It's like
I
just
mean,
flies under the radar and makes really awesome video game music.
yeah, you've heard her music, you just don't realize it.
Yeah.
But that again, favorite track at all? Do you have one, or just going to pass on that?
No, there were a couple. I liked the forest maze theme.
That one
Um,
was fantastic.
and then from inside the earthen pipe. And chasing the Axum Rangers, I think were my three favorite. And two of those three use um, the underground theme from the original Super Mario Brothers. The like dun like,
Yeah.
and just like variations on that, and it's just so fucking cool.
Did you find, and we'll get into this later, the spot in Booster's Tower where you go behind the curtain and you turn into the original 8-bit Mario?
Yes, I found that. That was pretty funny. It was just for like a second, and then it goes away, and it was like whoa. And like I think a character like not like breaks the fourth wall or whatever you call that, but it was like whoa, what happened to you? You looked weird for a second.
Yeah, it was a nice little nod.
Yeah, it was fun.
But I'd go personally. My favorite song is "Still the Road is Full of Dangers," and that was the first song in the supercut. There, it was my supercut, so I put it in there.
Right.
But that one just hits hard. It just hits you right away, and it just full of life and energy. And God, I love that song.
What I liked about that forest maze theme is that I could, if you close your eyes, you could imagine that being part of um, like a Super Nintendo era or even like PlayStation era Final Fantasy game. It's just like right at home in that square soft kind of mix.
Yeah, and it was just well done, and it really suited the environment as well. Uh, So, without anything left to say on the music, let's move into the characters. 5 playable characters in this game.
Yep.
And you start with Mario. And you get him right off the hop. He uses gloves, hammers, and shells as his weapon. You don't ever get to take him out of your party. So you have Mario, it's his game. He's going to be there the whole time. But he doesn't talk. How do you think he expresses himself? Like out of characters who don't talk in video games, like the Links, the Chronos, and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
What do you think of Mario? How they expressed him to tell stories?
I loved it because he would like just kind of gesture and run around and do all kinds of crazy stuff. And it like the characters, I don't even know if you'd call it a sprite because it's kind of a 3D rendered little guy. I mean, it looked great. It was cool. And then the other thing that like you could do um, as the player to communicate as Mario was there were several points in the game where you'd be talking to NPCs and they'd say like, "Oh, you think you're Mario? Why don't you prove it?" And then you have to jump.
Yeah,
And like him jumping and it makes that like "Brr," or whatever like weird
yeah,
little
the
sound it
classic
makes when he
jump sound.
jumps, then they're like, "Oh, you are Mario." Like I thought that was fun too.
Yeah, that was I like the way he did it too. I like when they were telling a story, they had that like really fast ticking sound going in the background.
Hmm.
Then Mario's turning into different characters and mimicking what was happening, and that's how it kind of explained. You really could follow along.
Yeah,
But
that's kind
then
of like kind of reminds me of in like in Return of the Jedi, and where C-3PO is trying to like explain what's going on to all the Ewoks, and he's like making the sounds of like lightsabers and Vader's breathing and the
oh
carbonite and
yeah,
stuff like that. Like it kind of gave me that kind of vibe.
yeah. I would not have gone there, but you are the Star Wars guy. But speaking of things I don't like, Mallow.
Yeah,
Another segue and a stab at Star Wars.
yeah,
But
let's talk.
Mallow's the new character created by Square for this game, and he is the one character in the game that is just absolutely useless when you don't need to use him.
Yeah, he's. I mean, for a while there, he's. Excuse me. He's got a weak attack, but he's got that kind of. Before you get. Well, we'll get into Peach. But before you get Peach or Toadstool, you'll get Mallow, and he's kind of your healer for a while.
Yeah, and he has the thunder attack there, but the problem is, it goes through your flower points really fast, and if you want to
Yeah.
keep some for healing, you can't really use the thunder attack that often.
Yeah, that was actually one thing that I don't think we mentioned that I didn't too much care for, but they do kind of carry it over to Paper Mario is like having a shared group of flower points or like your MP for your whole party.
Yeah,
I kind of would rather each character have their own.
I'm kind of torn on that one. I liked how it was done, kind of added to the, planning and strategy of your fighting there, but at the same time you are right.
Yeah,
It would have been nice if everybody had their own allotment.
because you could easily burn through it real quick and be in some trouble.
Oh yeah. I like my strategy was to never use it unless I absolutely had to.
Yeah, the physical attacks, and I think that's kind of a not to get too off topic here, but I think that's kind of a limitation to the game a little bit. Is that like yeah, I was especially towards the later battles where with some of the tougher bosses, like Peach was pretty much healing, and then Mario and Bowser or Mario and Gino were attacking, and it was like physical attacks. Like I wasn't using the other characters' specials that much because I didn't want to waste the flower points on it, and they weren't all that much stronger than the physical attacks, anyways.
Yeah, and not like the jump was the only one I really used on any regularity because
Yeah,
it was the jump that, or if I knew like Gino could wipe out an entire party with his strong. I can't remember which attack it's called, but
all that like it was like a starlight beam or something
yeah,
crazy.
and it just kind of shoots down and smokes everybody there. Uh, Other than that, I wouldn't actually use their specials unless it was, of course, again healing. But I always kept a flower tab in my inventory there, or a couple of them,
Hmm.
anyways. So
Yeah.
if you're going through a dungeon and you're like, "Oh crap, I'm out of flower power," there, you could use one tab and it would add one and refill your flower tabs. It was like a free,
Oh, yeah. That's actually a
yeah,
really good idea.
yeah, it's a free way to do it. And then, of course, you go through them after a while, and also lets you use your attacks more often when you're just trying to level up or burn through stuff.
Hmm.
And I found it a great way because you get enough flower tabs, which again increase your flower tabs or flower jars. Flower tabs increase your flower power by one, jars by three, and it
Yeah.
refills your flower power. So
Yeah.
it
Look at
was,
us. We hate Mallow so much that we talked about Mallow for a second and then like started talking about anything else possible.
yeah, and that was pretty much going to happen anyways. But back on Mallow, he uses the canes and the symbols. I do actually enjoy the animation for the symbol there when you hit the timed attack.
Hmm.
So he slaps the cymbals together and goes, and he opens it up, and then the vibration is what actually damages the enemy. I thought that was a good animation. The
I don't
only
know if
good
I ever
thing
used
about
that one.
Mallow,
I don't know if I ever used that one, but there's like, doesn't he like jump out of his pants a bunch? And he's just a weird little,
well, he jumps out of his pants because he's, well, not to get into it now, but he's a cloud, even though
yeah,
he thinks he's a frog.
right.
Um, Next character you're gonna find is Gino, and
Gino.
Gino again, SquareSoft original character, obviously never been in anything else because SquareSoft didn't really want to give him up again. So He
Hey,
became the popular one.
if Cloud is in Smash, they can put Geno in Smash. I know the
They
campaign is
could,
out there to put Geno in Smash.
but they never would.
He'd be so
He's
cool.
too valuable.
Yeah.
Yeah, he uses finger guns and the flying punch, and his attacks are basically beams or blasts that come out of his finger and then attack either one or all enemies.
Yeah, because I think his character, right, is basically he is a like a star spirit that lives on the star road or whatever, because you're gathering the
Yeah,
seven stars to repair the star road. But he kind of comes down and inhabits this puppet that belongs to, I don't know, I think it's like a little toadling or whatever. But that was pretty interesting, and he's just somehow cool. Like he just exudes cool. Like, I
big
mean,
dick
come on, he
energy.
uses finger guns like pew, pew,
Oh
pew.
man. No, he was one of my staple characters there. Although he was the one I swapped out for Princess when I needed a healer in my group, because our next character and the OG himself, Bowser,
Yeah.
he was the one who stayed in. He's just pure power. So I didn't like his specials at all, but his power for his attack was just outstanding enough to keep him there all the time.
Yeah, his specials were kind of expensive flower wise, but like there were a couple times when I used the I think it was like, I don't know, whatever stomp where he like comes through and you like, I think you have to mash one of the, mash Y or whatever, but he just kind of like stomps across the screen and hits everyone.
Yeah, the Bowser Crush.
The Bowser Crush, yeah, that was a fun one. The
And that was
animation
his
was cool.
hit all enemies kind of attack, but I don't think I've ever used it in my life.
Yeah, I used it a couple times, like one or two battles, just because it was kind of fun, and I was like, ah, this is costing way too many flower power
Yeah,
points or whatever.
it cost 16, so. But Bowser uses chomps and gloves, or else he has his claws, which he starts out with. And the chomps comes in several variations, including the one with the mouth that goes barks like a dog, and then the other one, which is just a ball with spikes that come out of it.
Yeah, the chomps were pretty cool. I liked those. I like those animations, but the gloves where he throws Mario, I think like we
Yeah,
mentioned
that was
before,
the best.
that was the best one.
And if Mario was sick or something, you just throw a doll.
Yeah, yeah. If he had like a status condition or he was fainted or whatever, but like
Yeah,
I think, yeah, that should have been, because I think Bowser's ultimate weapon is like some sort of claw, um, where he's just kind of like slashing with the claws, which is fine. But like, I really wish that that his ultimate weapon would have been throwing Mario, because
it would
it
have
was
been
just
good.
so
That would have
great.
been just the best way to end that.
Yeah,
But it wasn't. It was not at all. Nevertheless, he was still just like literally the best of all these side characters you could have.
yeah, he's a
But
tank.
the last one you get is Princess Toadstool, renamed Princess Peach. Well, not renamed, but named Princess Peach in the remake. And she has four weapons: the glove, the parasol, the frying pan, and the fan.
Yeah,
And she was your healer
yeah, pretty
through and
much.
through.
I rarely attacked with Princess unless like I got to her turn and everyone was already all the way healed up and I was good on flower points, and I'd
No, I
smack
can't
them up.
remember this, and you'll be able to answer it for me. Are you able to switch your party on the fly in a battle in the original?
Nope.
So you can in the remake, and that's kind of what changed it.
Yeah, that would actually, like, I would run probably like Mario, Bowser, Geno, and then like swap out for Toadstool, because
Well,
like
that's what
you
I was doing in the remake. Is I would swap Geno out for Toadstool or Bowser if like Geno was dead and I need to revive him.
can you do it like Final Fantasy X style where you can just swap them out at any point and like still use their turn?
Well, as long as it's the turn of the person you want to swap out, you can.
Yeah.
And yeah, they just come in and they take their turn at that time.
Oh, okay. Because like some games, it kind of almost like, I don't want to say it penalizes you, but like you swap a, a character out, but that's like your move for that turn in a turn based
Don't
system.
quote me on that. You might be right on the second one. It might actually be your turn, but I think I go so fast in the game I might not have registered it.
Right.
But yeah, she would be the one I'd bring in, and then when everybody was good and healthy, I would just throw her in the background and have the three beaters out there, and I would just beat the crap out of the enemies.
Yep.
Most of the time, I saved all my flower points or my flower power for using her group hug or whatever just to heal everybody.
Group hug was just like OP as fuck.
Yeah, and Earth Therapy and Group Hug heals hit points and your status.
Yes. Yeah, that was the part that like really throws it over the top because like
Yeah, and that was the part that made Mallow absolutely useless.
yeah, then you don't need them anymore. And like especially in the final like boss battles, I basically just would run Mario and Bowser attacking, and whenever it was Peach's turn, she was group hugging um
Yeah.
to heal everyone. And it was like if an attack would take like a good 80 hit points off of your character or whatever, like Peach does group hug and heals everyone for like 115 or something. It was
Yeah,
perfect.
and at one point you get an accessory called a ribbon, and if you stick it on her, she becomes immune to status ailments, and she becomes completely
Yep.
unstoppable.
Yeah. Yeah. The only one of the status ailments that's really kind of a pain in the ass is where the enemy turns you all into scarecrows.
Oh yeah,
You can
Alone
attack,
does that.
but you can use your specials. So it was like I got real frustrated at one point because everyone got turned into into scarecrows. I was like, well now I'm fucked because like I can't do anything. And I was like, I don't know what made me hit Y or if I did it on accident. I was like, wait, this menu comes up and I'm able to select. This is nuts. Like, okay, well, everyone's not a scarecrow anymore because it's Peach's turn and she just does group hug and it cures everyone's status ailments.
Yeah, and again, she's way overpowered.
Yeah.
But yeah, your status elements are Scarecrow, as you mentioned, Poison, which does what you expect it to do in every RPG, just
Yeah.
takes away your hit points gradually. Silence, which is mute, you can't
Yep.
use specials anymore. Sleep, you're basically pooch for until you wake up. Turned into a mushroom, which is a
That one.
weird one because you can't do anything, but you heal
Yeah. That one
every
sucks
turn.
too.
Um,
Um, yeah.
I'll go ahead.
There was another one I thought there were ones where there were kind of like debuffs that would take
Yeah,
some
there's
of
two
your
more left. There's Fear, which is your attack and defense are cut in half, and
yeah
then, well, Death, which is your character reaches zero health and you're laying on the ground.
yeah
So I don't know why that's called a status ailment. That's just kind of called you fucked up.
yeah death.
Um, yeah, there's hmm, that's the characters. That's the five characters: Mario, Mallow, Geno, Bowser, and Princess Toadstool. You get them, you use them how you want. Everybody sticks Mallow in the back when you don't need to use them. But let's get into the plot of the game. And as I put in the intro there, the plot starts out like any Mario game. You know, Princess is just, in the flower garden picking some flowers, being all princessy like, and then Bowser shows up and kidnaps her, takes her off to his castle, and of course Mario's going to go save her. So they have the battle on the chandelier there, and after Mario beats up Bowser, a sword breaks up the action, and it comes and it stabs Bowser's keep, and that's where the game starts. And the sword goes through the star road, which breaks up the 7 stars, which is what your goal is to collect these stars.
Hmm.
So after that happens, Mario, Princess, and Bowser kind of biffed off in different directions, and Mario lands back at his house, luckily, where Toad is there. So that starts your adventure. And the first place you're off to is Mushroom King. That's where you meet Mallow.
Hooray.
Oh man. Um yeah, any thoughts on that intro? Did you like it, hate it? Did you
I
want
thought
to
it was
just chuck the
cool. Like
carton to the garbage?
I was I was into it. It was really well done and looked cool. Like the sound effects were great. It was a great introduction to um just the graphical style and some of the music and just the way that the game was going to handle. That was really well done.
Yeah, I liked it for the fact that it kind of stayed true to the Mario Brothers formula,
Yeah.
but let the game take its own direction in its own sort of way without, pissing all over what's been done already.
Right.
And honestly, this is still only like a decade into the Super Mario Brothers world, and it only really started getting built around Super Mario Brothers 3 because 1 and 2 are, well, 2 is obviously kind of a offshoot of a different game, but
Right.
Super Mario Brothers was kind of a yada yada story. They just kind of put together for a Nintendo cartridge in the manual there.
Well, you know what I liked about this is that, you know, you get started on the game and it's kind of introducing, well, here's the plot. And it's like, well, kind of like, well, here we go again, right?
Yeah.
Bowser's gonna steal Peach, and okay, whatever. But then it like immediately, like basically like Mario kicks his ass right away, and then this other thing happens, which is crazy. It's like, oh, this is not gonna be the same. So that I
Oh,
appreciated that. It was like you kind of got that whole Bowser kidnaps the princess and Mario saves the princess within the first like 3 minutes, and then it's like, okay, but now we're off on this other adventure.
yeah, and you weren't sure, like when you first played the game, if Bowser was really going to be a bad guy or a good guy. And like, I don't even remember if Nintendo Power ruined that surprise for you.
Hope not. I
Oh,
mean, I wouldn't
probably
know,
did.
but
It's
yeah,
Nintendo Power, you know.
yeah.
Greatest magazine as a kid, but god damn if you didn't learn way too much. That's how I learned how to have sex. Nintendo Power. Up, up, down, down, left, right, BA start. So moving on, because again, I'm way off track. So you're in the Kingdom. You've meet Mallow. This is one of those locations where you were talking about where one of the people confronts you, goes, "Are you really Mario? Jump for me, dog!" You
Yeah.
jump, and he's like, "Wow, you really are Mario." So no comment on that. Nothing. Oh, I thought you'd have
Yeah, that was
something.
fun. And then like well, I'm just kind of thinking about like what happens in the Mushroom Kingdom. And you first of all, like, yeah, you said you meet Mallow. That is the first instance of being able to jump. And then when this we have to chase that crocodile through.
Yeah, the purple croc.
Yeah. And that was like the first point in the game where, I mean, you're getting used to the mechanics of the game. You realize you can kind of avoid enemies. There's no random encounters, which is kind of cool. But this is a point in the game where it kind of is of to your benefit to actually fight some of these enemies, because you could just be like, oh, okay, well, I don't have to fight these. I can avoid them. And then you're getting kind of clever and you get to, the point where you actually have to fight Croco and he'll kick your fucking ass.
Yeah, and you're lucky that when you leave Mario's house there, the toad that's there gives you a bit of a tutorial or an opportunity to do a tutorial for fighting. So at this
Right.
point, you already know how to fight. You're just putting it into practice, and you're doing it on fairly easy enemies. And you can gain probably a level or two if you take your time here.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's good to actually kind of not like super grind, but like a little bit, like grind a little bit in this
Yeah, well,
area
it's
because there's
always
a
good
ton
in
of
an RPG to spend the first little bit there getting a level or two ahead. Just makes the game a little more accessible, so you're
yeah,
not trying to play catch up the whole game.
yeah, you're not struggling and you know having a miserable time.
Looking at you, Fantasy Star,
Yeah.
which I'm not actually disliking right now, but I'll get into that next time because you catch the purple croc, which again I cannot remember his name for the life of me. Oh, Croco, I have it written right here.
Croco.
Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
I don't know
Croco.
why I'm reading what's in the brackets. So Croco, the purple croc who steals Mallow's money, Mario and Mallow get the money back, and then Mallow buys a cricket pie and says, "I have to go see Grandpa over at
Yeah.
Frog Pond." So you head to the underground sewers, and this is where you fight one of the first, I guess, staple bosses because you fight him twice in the game. But this is
Yeah.
Balloon.
Yeah, he's
And,
kind of like a weird like lion looking thing, isn't he?
oh, he has 6 eyes and big tongue and ears or something like that.
Yeah, he's just kind of like a, I don't know like how to describe it, but it's like a weird
Yeah, just
stylized. Yeah.
if you've played the game, you know. If you haven't, just Google Balloon there and Belome, and will show up and you kind of get understanding. A dog with 6 eyes, 2 legs, and tiny little arms.
And a little
But
tiny penis.
yeah, he eats your characters. He clones them. He turns them into scarecrows and stuff like that. And you can get a pin in the Mushroom Kingdom, the transform pin,
Yeah.
and it prevents you from being turned into a scarecrow. And it's very valuable to get, but at the same time, you don't want to use it on both your characters because, well, it costs money.
Yeah,
And
I actually did because I got so sick of getting turned into a fucking scarecrow all the time. I was like, the first time it happened, I was like, what in the world?
oh man, I kept I think it was a Power Glove or something. One of the other accessories. I kept it on Mario, and then Mallow because he was my healer at the time. I would put the transform pin on him also because he was so friggin' weak.
Yeah.
But once you beat Balone there, he opens up a big floodgate, and then you end up going down a Midas waterfall and then a river, which turns into a mini game. So when you get to the bottom of these, you can actually do it again and get frog coins, which is a special type of currency.
Yeah.
So yeah, I never went back to these. I never went back to the waterfall or the river mini game because it was good the one time, and that was it for me.
I did it a few times because I think didn't you need a certain amount of frog coins to like progress or
Well, no, but there's a shop when you get to the frog pond there, or tadpole pond, and
yeah,
you can buy some kind of unique items there, which
that's
will
right.
become handy later in the game.
Yeah, it was dumb. I thought it was something I needed, so I spent like way too much time going down this like dumb river and like trying to get as many of these stupid coins as I could.
Hey,
Like, well,
never
you only
hurts.
got this many coins. It's like, yeah, because this is like not easy to do.
Yeah, it was
um,
because you go down and you have to like tap the A button to swim back up just to try to get over in time. And
yeah, the waterfall wasn't as bad. It was the river raft, like weird jumping log
oh
jumping
yeah,
thing.
yeah, you're on a
That was
barrel and
pretty
you have
fun.
two levels to it, and like an
Yeah.
upper and a lower level, and you have to jump from barrel to barrel while getting on the side where all the coins are. If the barrels hit each other, the barrel moves to the upper or the lower.
Yeah, and it was like one of those things that like I was talking about before where it was like you could have a really good rhythm like okay, I know I got to watch my shadow or I got to jump here in order to like be in the right space to get this coin because it's in that weird, like top down isometric style or whatever. And then like your attention would lapse for a second, you'd get like completely blasted with a bunch of shit and lose a bunch of coins. It's like, oh, fuck. Like
uh,
always right at the end too.
yeah, um, that happened to me too. That's why I never did it again because I was happy to have it done. And you
Yeah,
can
it's
get
kind of a
frog
pain.
coins throughout the game anyway, so it
Yeah,
was
it's
not
kind of a pain in the
that
ass.
big of a deal. But you get to the bottom of this, and then you end up at your probably I think your first major point, which is Tadpole Pond, and you meet Frogicus. That who's who Mallow thinks his father is.
Yeah.
He's just a wise old frog that lives on this little island in the middle of this pond.
I got stuck here for a while because I didn't realize you had to stand on these little like circles to activate these tadpoles you could jump across. So I was like running around like, what in the fuck am I supposed to do? And I
and
like
you
wasn't I was like, I'll be damned if I'm gonna look up a like a walkthrough for this because this is
for
a very
baby's first
linear.
RPG.
Yeah, this is a very linear game and is meant to not be super confusing, but I'm like just
Yeah,
confused by it.
it's just yeah, it's a little thing. It pauses you for a minute, but then you accidentally hit the right spot.
Yeah, I was
But
like, well, what is this thing? And I was like, oh, for God's sake.
in your trek, you then ran into Todoski, the conductor,
Yep.
and yeah, there's four songs throughout the game that you can pick up, and it builds his ultimate um, comp composition. Yeah, composition.
Yeah.
And you get to end it. If you after you get all four, you get to do like whatever you feel like for the ending, and it doesn't matter what you do. It just finishes it off and then plays a whole song for you. It's neat. It's a fun little side quest, but it's not mandatory, and it doesn't really do anything that alters the ending of the game. So it's I always go for all four. I know where all four sheet musics are, and I always go for all four, and then cheat at the end and just look up a walkthrough because I keep getting the notes wrong because it goes do re mi fa sol la ti do
But it
as the
starts
note.
kind of in the middle in a weird spot.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, as a music staff does. Like it doesn't just start at the
yeah, it
bottom.
works like a music staff, but it
Yeah.
uses do re mi fa sol la ti do as opposed to the actual notes.
Right. Yeah. So it's I mean it you can really goof yourself up pretty easily if you don't take your time with it. I only did the one. I didn't realize there were more, but I was like, "Ah, that was cool," and I just kind of moved on.
Yeah, some of them are weird. I think one of them you actually have to listen to and try to figure out what the notes are.
Oh,
You
fuck
don't
that.
actually get a like a sheet to show you.
Yeah,
Except for
no.
again, unless you go online.
Yeah, I'll take a walkthrough on that one. Like friggin'
I'm
tone
as
deaf.
musically talented as the muted speaker. I
Yeah,
got
maybe if I were Yoko Shimomura, I could figure
oh
that
yeah.
out. Yeah, she could
Dick
figure that
move,
out.
Yoko. Way to pull a Yoko.
I don't. She didn't make that part.
That was her less talented intern.
Yeah.
Uh, all right, so you're done in Frogicus, who tells you where to go next, and yeah, so you head off to Rose Way. And funny part about Rose Way is you run into Bowser on the way to Rose Town,
Yeah.
and Bowser has 4 rows, about 5 or 6 deep of his troops: Goombas, uh, Koopas, Spike guys,
Whatever those
and
are.
the Lakutuses. Not the no, sorry, the wizard guys.
Yeah, those little Kamek guys.
Yeah, I can't remember their names, but they're all lined up and they're ready to take back Bowser's Keep. So he's giving the motivational speech there, and they all take off to go try to take back Bowser's castle, which is funny because you don't see them after this, and you don't really bump into them again for a while. But you go to Rosetown, and the problem in Rosetown is the citizens are being paralyzed by arrows that are coming out of the sky. But this is also where you find Geno.
Right. I was
And
really excited to find Gino because I had heard so much about this dude.
everybody has. He's greatest character that a lot of people think is overrated.
I don't think so. I think he's rated.
Oh, I like him. He's great, but I get the fact that he's not the greatest character ever created. He's just like one of those rarities that you don't ever see again. So you just kind of he gets hyped up a little bit higher than other people.
Yeah, I can see that.
So you run into Gino, and then when you find Gino, there's this kid in the inn. He's playing with Mario dolls, Mario, Bowser, and a Peach there, and he's playing. Mario beats up Bowser, and Gino's just one of the side characters. And then Mario decides to play with him and ends up getting knocked out. So during the night when Mario is recovering from a concussion by sleeping, which is a doctor recommended way to recover from a concussion, uh, Gino comes from the Star Road or above the Star Road and comes down and possesses the body of this toy, which looks like Pinocchio. I guess would be the best way to describe him.
Yeah, he's kind
Especially
of
in the
like a little.
remake, there they really kind of gave him that puppet look.
Yeah, he's a little puppet dude. Yeah,
Oh yeah, stick a hand in
marionette.
his ass and tell him what to say.
Yep.
So Gino takes off. Doesn't like stay with your party right now. He takes off and enters the forest maze to go try to stop not really stop Bauer, the boss of the forest maze, but try to get the star back. And you've already found 1 star at this point, I think. Yeah. No. Yeah, you did. Okay. Yeah, you found it in
Yeah.
the Mushroom Kingdom when you went back after helping Mallow there.
Right.
So you go into the forest maze, and you like this level. You said.
I do. I like the forest maze. The sound or the sound, the music is great. It's fun. Like I like those the little wigglers make an appearance, and you're like jumping through those what do you
Tree
call
pipes.
those? Yeah, those little tree trunks, and they end up being kind of like they end up being like the pipes in Mario. I mean, it's a Mario game, but I mean, you know
Yeah.
what I mean. Like you jump down through them and have to like kind of work your way through. The forest maze is pretty fun.
Yeah, and through this, you have to follow a specific path to get to find Bauer. So it's not just go wherever, because you'll end up in an area where you have 4 directions to go, and Gino will be heading in one of the directions, and you have to follow him through until you finally find the boss at the end, which again is, I guess not Bauer, Bowyer, Bowyer. I don't know really how to pronounce it,
Yeah,
but he's a
Bowyer.
bow and arrow.
It's a weird choice for a name for a character in a Mario game.
Of course. Well, it's a square name because you never see him again in Mario games.
Well, right, yeah, but Bowyer, like, it's like, why would you pick that? Anyways, yeah.
But yeah, his boss battle is simple. He has arrows, which are part of his minions.
Oh, that's why he's Bowyer, because I remember this now, because yeah, he's like a bow and arrow guy. That's
Oh,
why.
well, I
But
figured
it's
you.
well,
Oh,
yeah. I couldn't remember at first, but I was like, yeah, there was that guy that you were looking for. I was like, oh yeah, he like is literally a bow and shoots little
yeah,
arrows at you, and he's the one that's shooting the arrows, but he's shaped like a bow.
yeah. And I liked his boss fight there, where he locks one of your attacks, so your A or Y or
Yeah,
your X.
yeah, that was
He
kind of
locks
cool.
one of them out at a time, and it actually changes the dynamic, especially when you're low on flower points and he takes out your attack. So you're
Yeah.
just kind of sitting there hoping the hell you have a honey jar.
Yeah, honey jar, and then you can actually do something. But it was like it was like X X X. Yes.
Yeah, once he hit X, it was who cared? You just beat him up with the old hammer.
Yep.
Mario's large hammer. So okay, yeah, so you beat him, and then you get the star, and Gino joins your party permanently. So then, yay, you now have a character that's not useless, but you still have Mallow in your party. So you got to carry on, right? You got to
Right.
find somebody to replace Mallow. So it's off to the Mole Mountains and Moleville, and this is where you see Bowser again. Remember the first time he had a large army? Well, this
Yeah.
time his forces have been completely diminished, and that's kind of the end of the Bowser, the Koopa Troopa, if you want to call him that. And
Yeah, I like seeing Bowser a couple times just as not as an enemy, because I'm sure like playing this for the first time, like unfortunately, like obviously I was a little spoiled knowing who your playable characters were going into it, but at the time I'm sure it was really cool to like see Bowser and be like, oh shit, now I have to fight Bowser, and it's like, oh wait, no, he's off doing his own thing. Like seeing him a
yeah,
couple times, seeing how his story progresses in the background.
and I always thought there, like originally thought there was going to be a point where he ended up having to fight him, and he'd be like a mid-game boss or something. But that doesn't come to be, and we'll get into that in a minute there. But you're in Moleville right now, and after Bowser takes off again for the second time, you learn that the two tots, which are mole people, one named Dinah and the other Might, which
Hmm.
together spells dynamite.
Ha, ha,
Took me way
ha.
too long to realize that.
Yeah.
So they're trapped in the mine. So you have to enter the mine, and throughout it, you bump into Croco again, that purple crocodile, and he has a bomb that you. So you get that bomb, blow up a hole in the wall, and you work your way through. Um, Not a hard level, just fun. I enjoyed it. Again, you
Yeah, I
chase
like this one
Croco
too.
around, and you have to get some of your stuff back from his minions.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like, yeah, I like this one. I like this one a lot. I was kind of irritated to see Croco again, because I
Yeah,
thought like, oh, he's gonna be that pain in the ass character that you see a bunch of times and is like gonna just do douchey things like take
well,
your items and run away or
I
whatever.
always didn't like his shtick there. You have to sneak up behind him, but he's always turning there, and you have to, be so far away if he's looking at
Yeah.
you so he doesn't see you because he's nearsighted or something.
Yeah, that could be difficult to time properly, and it was like another difficulty of the top down isometric plane, I think.
Yeah. Well, once you beat him, he bombs open the wall there, and you go through some more levels, and you find the enemy of this part, which is Punchinello,
Yeah,
and he
Punchinello.
drops bombs like of various sizes. So he'll start with a couple of small bombs. You beat him up fairly easy, and then mid-sized bombs, then large bombs, and then finally, when you beat him up, like you beat him, gigantic bomb jumps or drops down and explodes. That's the end of the fight.
Right.
I, I I didn't really find anything interesting about this fight. It was just very. It felt like a multiple round of normal enemies, so it didn't wasn't really that hard.
Yeah, it was just progressively like bigger and bigger enemies until you finish the battle. It wasn't particularly difficult.
Yeah, and when the big bomb blows up, the only thing that happens is Mario's covered in black suit there, and
Yeah.
he shakes it off, and the star falls down, and you get another star. You move forward after this into the back of the mine, and you find the two tots. But this is another one of those really fun mini game parts that this one I did a couple of times because I really enjoyed this one. It was the mine carts using mode 7.
Oh yeah.
And you have to go around, you got to speed up, jump to collect mushrooms to go boosting, and then you got to hit the brakes to take the hard corners. And I love this one.
Yeah, and those mushrooms that you were collecting are the same ones that you could use to heal yourself, right?
Yeah,
So if you didn't use them, I think you just kept them.
I honestly cannot remember, but
Yeah, I think I remember like grabbing them and then I didn't use all of them and I ended up with a bunch of mushrooms when I was done.
oh, that's a nice little gift I never
Yeah.
noticed before. But there's two modes in this. So you're doing the mode 7, like behind the cart there and turning around like you're flying the airship in Final Fantasy 6. And you leave the mine for a moment and you do this side scrolling level where you're just going up like a roller coaster
Hmm.
type. track, and then you jump some holes and you grab some more mushrooms, and you do the mode 7 part again, I think 2 or 3 times. And it's timing you the whole time, and it turns into a race after. Can you beat your time?
Yeah.
Um, Once you get to the end, it's basically you're ramped off the end of the track, and a cutscene happens, and you crash through the roof of the Tot's house there, and you carry on to the next part.
Yeah.
You run
Some
into a
danger.
snippet that tells you where to go next, so you head off to Booster's Tower.
I liked
Af-
Booster's Tower.
yeah,
It was a
after
fun one
going
too.
through like a quick pass there, and you want to explain what happens at Booster Tower since you love it?
Um, it was kind of weird. I was like, "Who's this Booster fella?" But yeah, you got Bowser there. He smashes open the door and lets you join. Like he lets you join him, which I think is kind of funny. He's like, "Fine, you can join me." It's like he's really joining your party,
Yeah,
but
it's like, yeah,
but
you can
he,
be part of my Koopa Troopa.
yeah, it's like okay, okay, Bowser. But that was the first time, and like there's a few other instances in the game where like you have to time it with Bowser to like run and charge a door, and then he with his like bulk and strength can bust through stuff.
Yeah, and he knocks you inside of Booster's Tower, and you're right, this is one of the best levels of the game.
Yeah, I did enjoy this one quite a bit. Um so yeah, then this is where you get the chomp, right?
Yeah, one of the things you have to do is find him. Like you at the beginning of the level, you find these pictures on the wall of all the boosters, and it's
Yeah.
Booster the first through Booster the eighth. And you got to remember what they look like in what order. I just took a picture with my cell phone. And later on, you find these pictures in out of order, and you have to hit them from the first to the eighth, like in that order. And it gives you a key to unlock a special door. Find Chomp.
I don't know if I did that or not. Maybe I did.
So where you
Um
find Chomp?
yeah, it's been a while. I don't know if I did this or not. But I just like there's a lot of like weird little hidden passages in the tower, and like it's clear that there's like stuff watching you from behind the pictures. Like I think you can see some of the eyes move as you're going by.
Oh yeah, that was always fun.
It's like
It-
classic like not haunted mansion but like like trapdoor, stuff that kind of shit.
yeah, and one thing I liked about this is when you go in there, you have this like elevator music going on. This
Hmm.
really generic song. It's just very calming and soothing. And you're still fighting the enemies and stuff. But you get halfway up, and all of a sudden, Booster shows up on a train, and that's how you're introduced to him.
Yeah, he's like riding a little train like the friggin' trolley in Mr. Rogers that like comes from behind the wall.
Yeah, and then that's where music changes to like the really good version of the Booster Tower song, the one I really
Hmm.
like. But when he's on that train, he biffs some bombs down at you, and you just have to run behind a wall and stare out the little glass there and let him blow up.
Yeah.
I did not realize that on my first time ever playing the game when I was younger, and I kept dying there. I was like, "How do you do this?"
Oh yeah, you just run away from him.
And now it's just like second nature. It's like, "Oh yeah, big opening over in the wall there. Makes sense." So you climb this one. This is also where you get Mario turns into 8-bit. As you're climbing, there's
Yeah.
an area with a curtain, and you can cut through, and you come out as 8-bit Mario
Yeah, just like a
homage.
fun little thing.
Um, the curtain mini game. When you get to the top, you get to Booster's room. There's a curtain. It's not really a mini game because you don't get to play it again, but it's just like one of the challenges. So you have four curtains,
Yeah.
and you have to hide behind them. And not the shy guys. What the frig are those
Those
bullet faced things?
those little sniffet things.
Yeah, sniffets. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so yeah, the sniffets there. Who you have three of them plus Booster, and first it'll be one who goes and he opens one curtain at a time, then two, then three, then Booster will show up, and
Yeah.
all four curtains are going to be opened. But what did you think of that one?
I got it on one try, but it certainly stressed me the fuck out trying to
Yeah,
like get like I'm like running around trying to like get behind the one that they're not by, and I'm like, nope, they're gonna find me.
and there's that one time, and I think it's like the second or third pass through with three sniffets there, and one of them changes places at the
Yeah.
last second, and so
Yeah.
you have
It's
to
like,
kind
"Oh,
of
you
move over.
fucker."
Yeah, I remember that one intimately now, and I always wait for it. I don't remember exactly when it happens until I'm playing it, and then I just remember the pattern in my mind, and all of a sudden, I'm like, oh shit, not this one. So I go hide on the right one.
Yeah.
But when you finish this and Booster joins in, they open all four curtains. Mario's kind of standing there, and Booster notices that the Mario doll that he's looking for is actually up on the rafters above.
Yeah. It's
So
been up there the whole time.
he doesn't know how to get it down, and all of a sudden Mario does what Mario does best. He jumps and knocks it down, and Booster finally realizes that Mario's there.
Yeah.
Uh,
That was a funny moment. And again, another time that you get to use the jump to do something goofy and
yeah, and then you
interact
go
with
out on the balcony. Like Booster goes out on the balcony, you bust the door open, you fight Knife Guy and Great Guy, and it's just a standard fight.
Yeah. Yeah, this
They
one
act
wasn't
like
that.
bosses, but they're not bosses.
Yeah, this wasn't too bad of a fight, I don't think. I think Knife Guy was a little touch and go. He had
Yeah,
some attacks that could mess you up a little bit.
I just focused on him first. Like I just take him out, and then when he's dead, it's just a straight beat down a Great Guy.
Yeah.
So once that's done, you kind of jump down and you chase Booster up Booster Hill, and it's another mini game where you have the Sniffets behind you chasing you. You're chasing Booster, who has Peach tied to his back, and barrels are rolling down the hill, and you have to run up behind him. And you bounce off the barrels, and you get closer. And every time you touch Peach, you get a flower, which increases your flower point.
Yeah, that was a
So,
really useful. I
yeah,
liked
if you're
this.
really
Yeah.
good at this one, you can really get a boost to your flower power.
Yeah. I think I did end up excuse me. I think I did end up getting to Peach a few times and getting a few flower points out of it.
Yeah, once or twice. But if you get hit by the barrel or the sniffets hit you, and you can bounce off the sniffets as well, you just tumble backwards and have to start all over again.
Yeah, that gets
As the
frustrating.
closer to the top you get, the more difficult it becomes. The sniffets start moving around all over the place, and you just kind of have to dodge and avoid. You get
Yep.
to the top, and you end up in Marymore. And this has probably one of my favorite enemies, the cake.
Yeah, the cake was
So
fun.
you get to the chapel there. Boosters kicked out all the people who were right in a wedding. You go inside, and all of a sudden, Peach gets all of her gear knocked off, her crown, her gloves, and all that kind of stuff. So you have to kind of go around the church, and you have to pick it all up before these candles light, and they're going down the pews. Not very difficult. Usually, you can get it done in 2 or 3 rows of candles there, and just go talk to Peach and give everything back to her, and the fight starts.
I didn't realize that was a timed like event trying to find all Peach's stuff because I actually was pretty frustrated for a second because like I couldn't figure out how I could find her shit. And then finally I like figured it out. I was like, oh, okay. And then I did the rest of it. But like I probably burned up a few of my candles, like just trying to figure out how the friggin'
It was not
yeah.
hard to do at all. Like you have so much time to do it. It's like you
Yeah.
could go make a sandwich, come back, and still have like 2 3 minutes to do it.
Yeah, these are the kind of points where like when I talk about like a quirky RPG, like this is the kind of stuff where it's like these just like goofy ass mini games that like you do for like a second. It's like almost like playing freaking WarioWare for a second. Like we're just gonna have you do this thing that you're not gonna have to do for the rest of the game, and it's just gonna weird like little mini game. Like just don't waste my time.
Yeah, and once you get all Peach's stuff back, or Toadstool, I guess, in whichever version of the game you're playing, you fight the cake. Well, first you're gonna fight Booster, but then the cake comes to life,
Yeah.
and it was a fun fight. It wasn't anything special, but I just like the idea that instead of fighting Booster, who you've been chasing for the last hour, hour and a half, you end up fighting the wedding cake.
Yeah.
And that was a nice twist, twist on the story for me. But once you beat the cake, Booster eats it in the end of the fight there, and that's how the cake dies. And then from that point, you get Princess Peach, and you get to head back to the Mushroom Kingdom. And yeah, so take Princess back to the Mushroom Kingdom there. A little cutscene happens. Everybody's happy. Princess is going to stay there and take care of all the little mushroom people, and then as you're leaving, she jumps out the window, floats down on her umbrella, and joins your party permanently.
Yeah, I like that little like bait and switch where it's like you like either if you know of this game before you start playing, or you've probably looked through the manual or whatever before you start playing this game. If you're like, a kid in the 90s playing it for the first time, you're like, oh nice, this is where I get Peach. And it's like, oh, what the hell, she has to go back and like get locked in her tower, or like what is fucking happening here?
Yeah, and why is she not a queen? Where's her parents? Like, let's ask the real question here. Why is she being a princess for so long when you never see King Toadstool or Queen Toadstool?
Oh, he's a mushroom.
Ah, Jesus.
The
I don't
mushroom
like it.
kid.
Too many holes. There's a conspiracy in the
Well,
Mushroom Kingdom.
wait, isn't like Super Mario Brothers 3, there's like a weird king that's been like transformed into a different animal in each
Yeah, but
world,
they're the
right?
kings of the different worlds, not the entire
Not
kingdom.
not Peach's like dad or whatever. Maybe one of them is. I don't know.
Yeah. Now we're getting into a different type of conspiracy.
Yeah.
Oh my God, World 7 is Peach's dad?
One of
But-
them. One of them should be, right?
oh man. So, anyways, Peach joins you, and then you're off to the Star Hill. And God, this was a waste of a level.
Yeah,
Like,
like I thought the like running around and like activating the doors was cool, but then all of a sudden like the star piece is just like fucking sitting there. Like
yeah,
I don't
and
have to do anything.
there's some neat Easter eggs in there. Like you talk to these other stars, and it kind of gives you people's wishes that didn't go all the way up to the Star Road, and you get a Luigi Easter egg in there.
Oh, really? I guess I
Yeah,
didn't
one
talk
of
to
them's
anybody.
like, "Please take care of my brother," and
Oh, that's
it's Luigi because again, uh, he can't be part of a game where Mario is the sole focus.
right.
Because who would want to have Luigi in a game about Mario?
Unless we're talking Mario Luigi Superstar Saga.
We aren't, so let's carry on.
Yeah.
All right, so you end up at Seaside Town. Um, this is where you learn a star piece fell into the sea, so you end up going into the water and you jump into the sunken ship. And I know
Yep.
this is where you messaged me a lot.
Oh yeah, I got really fucking irritated with the sunken ship. I
Yeah,
hated it. And I know this is like one of your favorite parts of the game. I was like, this just sucks.
it's
So
mostly because I know the answer now, but yeah, at the original time, it wasn't as fun.
yeah, and like the answer itself is like the clues that they give you for the answer is like not helpful.
Yeah, so to explain what Sam's talking about is when you're on the ship, you find out to open the last door, you need to figure out a 6-letter word.
Right.
And there's 6 clues hidden on the ship behind 6 doors. So each door has a different challenge to actually get which one of the letters of the clues. And it's not simply like it gives you the letter; it kind of gives you a hint of what the letter could be or what a couple of letters could be.
Yeah.
So,
But like they're like, well, the third letter is next to a vowel. And it's like that's not a helpful clue at all.
well, there was one helpful clue that kind of worked out, and
Yeah.
it's something that's in the sea or lives in the sea. Actually, that one was kind of
It's too
a
vague.
misdirect.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah. No, I did not care for the clues at all. I thought they were all
yeah,
stupid.
and
And the way that you have to get the clues was also kind of stupid. Like some of them were. Like some of them were
some of
cool,
them
but
were fun, like where you had to bounce the cannonball up to hit the coin block to shoot the next cannonball and repeat that process. I like that.
yeah, that was cool once I figured it out, but it took me a second to figure out what the hell. Like
Yeah.
I would like I think I stepped on the switch and then the cannonball shot and then it was like brum, brum, and it's like, well, what the fuck? Like it shoots a cannonball and then tells me I lost. It's like get fucked.
And there's a 3D maze.
Yeah, that was really fucking annoying.
Yeah, and the game that the 3D is kind of it's not really 3D in the sense of 3D. It's 3D in the sense of kind of tricking your brain by tilting the camera and putting a
Yeah.
grid-based system on there. That 3D maze took me forever the first time, and it's all about jumping and like you just continue to jump and press all directions until eventually you land on a platform and you get to the second level and you kind of have to work a way around and repeat it. But
Yeah, it's
there's
basically a closed off maze where you have like tunnels that you have to like work your way through, but you can't see where the tunnels are because they're all blocked off by, you enter, and then like, the tunnels are making their way through this block, but you can't see what they are.
Yeah, and that was the only one that I ever had a problem with. The other ones were pretty standard.
Yeah.
Any other ones you want to talk about before we move on?
Um, no, I think, oh, there's one where you have to like platform across while you're like collecting like pieces of a star or whatever.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And that one, like some of the jumps like right at the end were really annoying, and like you couldn't retry it unless you exited and re-entered the
Is
room.
that the one you had to chase the coins around the room?
Yeah, it was the coins, not stars. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
But yeah,
and if you went too fast, you would actually go faster than the system, and it would fail you. You had to restart.
yes. Yes. So you
Yeah,
had to like very toe that line of like being just right behind the star, and then there was a couple like there was like a longer jump at the end that was kind of difficult, and you had to like work your way around a corner in that isometric whatever bullshit, and that one pissed me off. But and
yeah.
then I think right at the end that was one of the ones where like I finally got it, and the clue was like the last, or like the fourth thing is a vowel next to a consonant, and it's like, get fucked. Like that's not helpful at all.
Yeah, but you get all 6 clues, and you get to a room where you have 6 blocks, and when you hit the block, it'll be like the first letter is, and you keep hitting the block, and you'll have like 5 or 6 letters, random letters there, and you gotta spell the word.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say the word, but I'm also giving you a chance to kinda skip ahead here. So, in 3, 2, 1. So the password is pearls.
Yeah, and that was, and I think that what pissed me off was, hold on, Pearls. That was what pissed me off, was that it was plural, because it was like pearl. Like would that have been so hard to just make it pearl? But it's
I'll look
pearls.
for
So
that,
I was trying to
spoiler
think of
warning.
six. Yeah, I was trying to think of 6-letter words. So I was like thinking of other things like, oh, I know it lives on the bottom of the sea and it's like a 6-letter thing. So I was trying to think of other 6-letter things. I wasn't thinking like pearls, which aren't really living things anyways.
Yeah, that's where the misdirect was. It says
No,
it
it's not
lives
a
at the bottom of
misdirect.
the
It's just
sea, but
dumb.
yeah, it's not alive.
No,
Oysters are alive. The pearls aren't.
no, pearl is like a freaking whatever calcium deposit of like whatever fucking, it's like a like what do you call that fucking like ambergris or whatever, where it's like
Ambergris.
a coated piece of shit or whatever. Like, I mean, they're pretty, but it's like basically like clam shit. It's like,
I like
yeah,
your clam shit necklace, honey.
yeah, that's a great clam shit
My
necklace.
wife has pearls like she got a long time ago, and she's has them appraised and everything. And anytime she wears them for now, I'm just gonna say, "Nice clam shit necklace."
Oh, that'll go over real well.
Oh yeah. Trick is you buy yourself a really comfortable couch, so because you know you're gonna sleep
Yeah.
on it. All right, so okay, so you open up the door, you fight King Calamari, which is a squid. It's one of those large squids you find in the water levels of any Mario game,
Yep.
which I think are called calamari, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm not big on the Mario characters' names. But
Um, Calamari, maybe. Yeah, but whatever. I mean, it's just a giant squid, and
yeah,
I think you can attack the tentacles. That's what I kind of focused on, was
yeah, and
attacking
the
the
tentacles come
tentacles.
out of the floor, and eventually you get to a point where you fight just no, that's the next part. After you beat the calamari, you move on to where the star is, and you meet Jonathan Jones, who's a
Yep.
pirate shark,
Yeah.
and he challenges you to a one-on-one, or Mario challenges him to a one-on-one, and you kind of take him out there, and he gives you the star piece because he's a man of honor, or a shark of honor.
I think this was the first boss battle where I actually had a little bit of trouble with it, because once I got to the one-on-one, I think it was timed. Excuse me, it was timed in a weird way where I think whoever he squared off against was like kind of low on health, and then I just kind of died.
What was it? He's always fought Mario on my. I
Is it always Mario? Okay,
think
because
it's
whatever.
always
Like,
Mario.
yeah, I think the first time I wasn't expecting it, and when he was like, "I challenge you to a one-on-one or whatever," it was like his health was low, and I had a chance to beef him back up, and
Oh
Yeah,
Jesus, I
I
already
just started
heal
behind the eight
everybody
ball.
before I go into the next room.
No, I was healed. It's like there's a little bit of battle before that where he had taken a little bit of damage, and I was just kind of behind the eight ball. I wasn't
Oh,
expecting it.
okay.
Yeah.
It's not like you're one hit point going into this fight.
No, I wouldn't do that.
All right. Well, you beat after you beat him, you get the star piece, and you go back to Seaside Town. And when you go there, all the characters in Seaside Town are acting weird and everything. And it turns out they're all part of the Smithy gang. So
Yeah.
they take off towards the water, which is kind of a side area of the town. And they're about to take off. They're waiting for this giant axe, which they haven't really introduced in the game yet. This is the first mention of it. And then as they're about to take off, Jonathan Jones jumps out of the water and yars his way to convincing those guys to give the star back, but those guys turn themselves into another enemy called Yardovich.
Yeah.
And you beat him, get the star piece back. Yardovich I actually found to be one of the hardest enemies of the game.
Yardovich. I
He
think I
is, how would I describe him?
yeah, I can't quite remember exactly this battle because I don't think I had too much trouble with it.
Yeah, he's basically a skinny guy with a spear.
Oh yeah, he was kind of an asshole. But I managed to it was a tough battle, but I managed to beat him
Yeah,
with
it's
without
nothing
without
like
too much
nothing
trouble.
you would struggle with, but I just found him to be a little more persistent at annoying me than the other enemies.
Yeah.
And again, since I don't use specials very often, I just kind of beat him down with fists, and that's probably why it took me longer.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, you beat him, you get the star piece back for a second time, and then you learn of a town where monsters don't want to fight anymore, and it's called Monstro Town.
Yeah, that was kind of a fun place.
Yeah, and to get there, you have to fight below him again. So you go through a desert where you have to jump into the whirlpools where the ant lions are. You jump into them, do a quick battle, goes to another area, you repeat that process, and you end up in a temple underground, and it's Bloom's temple. So
Yeah, this part was pretty cool.
yeah, I like this part because you eventually come back here with a key, and you actually get a bunch of stuff. There's a statue of Bloom blocking the way, and you feed him the key, and he lets you in, and it's just a bunch of treasure chests and stuff.
Oh shit, I don't think I did that.
Yeah, and I don't remember how to get the key off the top of my head, but it's kind of one of those things you'll run into. So after you beat Bloom again, it opens up another waterway, but this time no water, and then you end up in Monstro Town. And this one, you don't really do a whole lot here, but you do have to talk to Monster Mama to get the Sky Troopas to get up the wall at Land's End so you can climb to the top.
Yeah. There's some
And
like other little mini things that you can do. I think there was like a dojo where you could fight, and I did like the first few fights, but then there was one that was really hard that I just was like, yeah, I think you're supposed to probably come back when you're stronger, and
yeah, I think
I
there's
just didn't.
3 rounds total with him.
Yeah, that third round, he's like he works
Oh
you
yeah,
over.
he gets pretty strong. This is also where the Final Fantasy character is hidden behind the door.
Yeah,
Uh,
like the whatever mega boss that's at the end of the game.
yeah, and you know, Kulix is his name, but there's a long process. Well, not a super long process, but a couple of steps you have to take to open up that door, and that'll be something we get into right around the end.
Yeah. I didn't full disclosure, I did not do that. I finished it. I was like, I'm gonna be done for now.
Yeah, absolutely. And so after you get the Sky Troopas, you head off to Bean Valley, and I'm going to talk about Bean Valley in here a second. We're going to pause, but you're not going to notice because we're going to be right back in 2 seconds. So we're going to pause here for a quick bathroom break. Maybe I'll cut something in here
Yeah.
just to.
Cut in a little music.
I think I know what I'm going to cut in just real
The
quick. I just
elevator
have to.
music from whatever that tower.
So, all right, we're back. All right, so we're in Nimbus Land now. Actually, we're headed towards Nimbus Land. Sorry. So the we were talking about the Sky Troopers in the wall, and you have to climb on their back, and they kind of move around. It's not impossibly hard, but it's another jumping on a 3D plane. If you remember that.
Yeah, I had some difficulty with this, but not too bad. But like, yeah, you got to climb the. Are they vines? I think just
No, no, the Sky Troopers there, the Koopa Troopers that are against the wall and they're all flying. And you jump on their
Oh
backs as you
shoot,
climb up.
yeah, no, those that was not too bad.
No, and you get timed by Sergeant Flutter, but nothing matters. It's all bragging rights.
Right, yeah, I was like, he's like, oh, well, you did it in this. I was like, whatever, I don't care. And then I just moved on.
Yeah, but in
At
the
this
end,
point,
you're
I think.
being. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I think at this point in the game, I was pretty sour still about the fucking pirate ship.
Yeah, I remember you telling me how much you
Yeah.
hate pirate ship. So you get to the top of this and you enter Bean Valley and you work your way through this and a couple of pipes and stuff, and you end up finding a piranha plant called the Mega Smilex.
Uh-huh.
And when
Yeah.
you beat him, you get a seed, which is important for later. So
Yes.
mandatory boss, so it's not like you're going to miss him. But
Right.
there's a flying shy guy who waters him and whistles the whole time, and he comes into play a little bit later as well.
I do like how, because the seed that you get is optional. It's just that the boss is one that you're going to fight anyway. I like that touch where it's like, they kind of spoon feed you this item that you're going to need to do something later, so that you make sure you don't miss it.
Yeah, and even if you do miss it, you can always come back and grab it again once you learn about it. But
Right.
so you
Like
get
you've
this
already done the
anyways.
work.
It doesn't matter. A beanstalk comes out of it, and you got to climb to Nimbus Land. And this is one of the parts I actually had a problem with. 'Cause you're climbing up on clouds and beanstalks.
Yes, this
Um,
is the part that I was thinking about.
yeah. So you're as you climb up, there comes this one point where you have to make this jump onto the beanstalk. And again, it's on a 3D plane, and it's not impossibly hard, and it's very forgiving. Unless you miss the bottom and then you fall all the way back down, you got to climb up again. And I kept doing this one part
Mhm.
over and over and over because I couldn't get the beanstalk, and it was finally just pissing me off. Like
Yes.
I was, squeeze the switch angry when I did the replay through of the new one, and I jumped up there for like my 20th attempt, and I just like, all right, jump a few times to get myself in the mood, and I jumped up and I hit a hidden platform, and it just drove me absolutely. I was swearing, I was cursing, I just turned the game off for 10 minutes to collect myself. Oh, I was so pissed I missed it. But, yeah, so after I found that hidden platform, it became very easy to get the rest of the way up.
Yeah.
And
I
so
didn't have as much trouble. Like, it was a little irritating, but I don't think I had the same level of frustration as you did with this part. It was just annoying. It was like, okay, more of this.
well, the frustration was because first I forgot about that platform, and second is because I kept missing that jump by just a pixel or two, and I kept
Yeah.
falling to the bottom, or I'd grab it, but because I was hitting like left to make the jump, I'd grab it, and then character or Mario would climb down and fall off.
Yeah, I mean, cuz you can kind of slide side to side on these. I mean, it kind of operates like the vines in Super Mario Brothers 2, doesn't it? Where like you can slide side to side while you're climbing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
circle around, and you time your jumps and all that stuff. It's
Right.
it's a fun part if you don't do a stupid. But you get to the top and you're in Nimbus Land, and this is where we find one of our characters with the bouncy boobs called Valentina.
Yeah. Did they I've heard that they
The
fixed.
boob bounce is gone in the remake.
That sucks. I thought that was so funny. Like every time you every time you attack her, boobs bounce.
Yeah.
Oh, I was so tickled by that.
She was I guess I can say she was a bit of more of an annoying character rather than anything special, but
Yeah.
her whole claim to fame is to say she is the I don't know, helper to the King Nimbus, and she has her sidekick, the Dodo. She claims is a long lost prince named Mallow. Hint, hint.
Yeah. Hint
So
hint.
yeah, so you walk through. Of course, Mallow's completely fucking oblivious because he's useless. It's like, oh,
No, I'm
that's
a
my
frog.
name.
No, I'm a
Fuck you.
frog.
Mallow.
No, you're
Yeah.
not. You're not a frog. Look in the mirror.
Um,
You are clearly not a frog.
Yeah, so you end up doing some stuff around town, and you find this guy who's like, I can turn you into statues, and then you can get into the castle that way. And he's also the guy who tells you that Mallow is actually the long lost prince. So he turns you into gold statues, and he brings you into the castle and sets you up after a bit of a cutscene. And the dodo, who actually really hates Valentina, comes down and he likes to peck the statues. And this is another one of those curtain type games.
Yeah.
This one I always takes me 2 or 3 tries because I always mistime my jump. Again, not musically inclined, so
Yeah, I'm bad with rhythm based shit.
yeah. And this is rhythm based because the song plays and he pecks on the, I don't know, whatever note it is. I guess the fourth note or something, and it does a sequence. So when he comes to peck you, you have to jump, and he misses you, and then he kind of realizes it. But
Yeah.
if he sees you move or you jump at the wrong time, he runs and gets Valentina, who's like, "No, you stupid bird," and hits him, and then they start the whole process all over again.
Yeah. You have to do it again.
Yeah, so you do it again, and after that, you just jump off and you go through the halls, and you end up running into a nest with a big egg in it called Shelly. Remember Shelly?
Yeah, I do. It wasn't too bad. You just
No,
have
it's just
to
an egg. You beat it up
yeah.
until it cracks open, and out comes
Yeah.
our transgender hero of Super Mario Brothers 2, Birdo.
Birdo.
But I don't know, like, I know Super Mario Brothers 2 originally, they kind of called Birdo a guy who dresses like a girl. But in later games, I think they kind of just slid away from that, and now Birdo's just a female.
Yeah, because it's weird. Like, why? I mean, not that. Yeah, we're like
Oh, walk lightly.
now we're in like a sticky. This is a bit of a sticky wicket.
Yeah.
Uh, it's not weird. It's just like the choice at the time was like odd. You know what I
Well,
mean? Like
well,
at
the,
the
the
time,
question is, was it a typo or did they, do it on purpose?
it was. I would imagine it was a translation typo, and then it just kind of stuck for a while.
Yeah, and it was nothing that hurt anybody, so I don't see why they
No.
didn't keep it. But I haven't looked it up, but I've heard that they've kind of shied away from repeating that again.
Yeah, I mean, I guess whatever. I mean, you
Yeah,
don't want to. You don't want to.
let's not dwell on this point and move on
Yeah.
to when you finally find Valentina and Dodo, and you have to give chase, and then you end up fighting them, and
Yes.
so you fight both of them, and after you beat them, Dodo picks up Valentina, and they fly away, and she ends up landing at Booster's tower. So Booster has a new, girl to play with, right? I guess.
Yeah, with jiggly boobs every time. I just that I can't get over how fucking funny. I'm so glad I played the original. Like I had to emulate it, but I'm glad I played the original first and just kind of got a feel for it, and then got to experience anytime you hit Valentina
Yeah,
with a physical attack or boobies jiggle.
and it's great because from that point on, boob physics became a real thing, and they kept working on it. And then the Dead or Alive games came out, and then boob physics was actually part of the engine.
Boob physics.
I'm not 100% sure that's a true story, but that
I'm
was a
sure
rumor
that's the
back in the day.
trajectory. We're gonna stick to it.
Yeah, that is considered fact, and we will not take alternative facts.
Yeah, it's like a bunch of. I just imagine like a bunch of scientists like standing around looking at boobs and then like scribbling in their notes and then like programming some shit and looking at 3D models and
The slow mo bros get in there. Those guys on YouTube who have like the slow motion camera there for boob jiggles, so they can get like really down to the brass tacks of the physics.
oh yeah, yeah, get in there and get those slow mo boob jiggles.
Oh, fantastic! And that makes up for the cone breast of Laura Croft.
Yeah,
Great stuff. Great conversation going on right
yeah.
here.
What's next?
Okay, so you free the king or the queen and the king Nimbus. They tell you that they saw a star piece fall into the Barrel Volcano, which is your next destination. And the Barrel Volcano is very standard, but a very fun level. You're basically jump down. Well, don't jump. How do you get into there? Oh yeah, you do jump into the volcano because you go down a vine and there's a hole and you just drop down to the volcano because safety first, right?
Yeah.
So
Just jump right in there.
yeah, in the volcano, you run, jump, you move, you fight, you level up a couple of times, and then you finally find the Gazar dragon, and he's just in the flaming molten lava there, and you beat him up, and he resurrects as a zombone. But you can beat zombone like you do any dead undead enemy.
Yeah, by
Oh,
trying.
that's why I use the specials all the time. Now I remember because the bone Koopa Troopas or the undead Koopa Troopas there,
Yeah.
you couldn't beat them normally with attacks. You had to use your special to kill them.
Yes. I didn't yeah, that threw me. That was always like, like running into those was like, oh, come on.
Yeah, it
And
was
it took
more
me
of an
so long to
annoyance than
figure it
anything,
out.
but Zombone was this I think was the same way. You could just use a special attack and it would kill him in one shot.
Really? God damn it.
Any
Because that's not
undead
what I
character.
did. I'm pretty sure I just like pounded away at it until it died.
Oh yeah. So you beat Zombone either easy way or hard way, and then you get the star piece, but then the best friggin' villains of the entire game that were so far underutilized that it actually annoys me nowadays. Axum Ragers, they grab it and they run.
The fucking
She,
Axum Rangers.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, you go ahead because I'm gonna wax poetic for a minute here on these guys.
They're the worst. They're the fucking worst. Yeah. So like, excuse me. And here's the part where like, I mean, I had obviously the emulator and save states, but like the Axum Ranger battle was the first one, if I'm thinking correctly. The Axum Ranger battle was the first one that I like died a bunch of times on because I had some difficulty with it, and it was like so fucking frustrating because I know that if you're playing this on original hardware with no save states and whatnot, like your when you die, you go back to your last save state. So you're gonna every time you go up against the Axum Rangers and you lose, you're gonna go back and you're gonna fight the Zar Dragon and the Zombone again. And then you're gonna go chase the Axum Rangers up that annoying little cliff again. And then you're gonna fight them again. And if they beat you again, you're going all the way back down to the bottom. So and they're pretty tough. So there's five of them and they look like Power Rangers. I mean, that's why I think they're kind of a little spoof on like Super Sentai or Power Rangers. And um, I had to go up against them enough times that I was able to kind of devise myself a strategy for how to deal with them. Any other
Yeah.
thoughts, Brian?
No,
You
it's
go ahead and wax poetic.
that's great, but I'm just my thing is about them is they were the first characters in the game. I thought they could have been utilized as the main antagonist outside of Smithy himself for the game. Because there's five of them. Uh, they could have been placed around five of the stars earlier on in the game, replacing some of these redundant like Bower or Bower or whatever his name is.
Yeah,
Give these Axum Rangers the abilities of these regular enemies so that you find one, you beat him up, he runs off. Find the second one, you beat him up, he runs off, and you carry on until you get to the volcano, and then you have the five Axum Ranger battle on top of the axe. I thought that would have been a great way to use them.
yeah. They're just kind of randomly there. It's like, who the fuck are these
Yeah,
guys?
and the axe, like the gigantic axe. I don't remember what its name is, but I'm just drawing a blank on it. But
Oh, yeah, and that was another thing. There was one point, like one of my runs against them was I had beaten them as the five Rangers, and I was like, oh, finally, yes. And then they go ahead and jump in this fucking robot, and then I lost to that. I was like, God damn it.
yeah, Blade or something like that. That was its name,
Yeah.
and it was first mentioned when you're fighting the Yardovich
Yes.
right before that, and that's the first time, and this is the last time, and out of the two times he's mentioned,
It was just
and
a
it
weird
seems like
choice.
such a big character of this flying gigantic ass axe,
Yeah.
and it's just never mentioned again. You beat the axe, it crashes, the Axum Rangers are friggin' dead.
Yep.
So maybe I'm missing something about them. Maybe the Square just didn't like them enough or something, or maybe the was too close to the Power Rangers to use too much.
I didn't like them either. Good
Yeah.
riddance, you little fuckers. I hated them all.
I
So
just
like
think they could have been used better in the game.
yeah. Yeah. Like I said, like I mentioned, like all of a sudden, you get this, you think you're getting this star from beating the Zar Dragon Zombone little combo guy, and then all of a sudden, like these fuckers come out of nowhere and take your star. It's like, well, who are you?
Yeah.
There's
Just
been like
there's
no
no
indication. Yeah.
prefix to it. There's no introduction of them earlier in the game. There's no hint that they exist. They just show up.
No, and they don't really fit the game either. They're like clearly a Power Ranger Super Sentai knockoff weird thing, and it's like really out of place. The
Yeah, and
battle sucks. I mean, there's a way like I said, I found that I think I could beat the pink one first because she would heal. She's kind of like a peach almost. And then
yeah.
there was like one of either like the yellow or the blue one or green one or something like that. One of the different colors was like kind of weak. So I would take that one out and then like kind of work my way to the middle to get to the red one.
Yeah, I don't remember how I beat him. I know the red one was the last one you had to beat. He was the strong one.
Yeah, yeah. One of them had like really strong um special attacks, and one did a bunch of status shit, and like I'd try to make sure that those guys were out of the way. And
Yeah,
ugh.
and no, I can't remember off the top of my head. Normally it's when I fight them I know what's going on, but no, the red one was the last one I would always attack. I know that because you said like, or sorry, no, yeah, the red one was the last one. The pink one was the first because of the healing thing. You always take out the
Yeah.
healer first.
Oh yeah.
Focus on that, and then everything else falls together.
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah, and the red one, he used vigor up, so he just made people stronger. So, I mean, it sucked, yeah, but at the same time, you could just let him live long enough.
Right.
Anyway, so that fight happens. You know, we have varying opinions on the Axum Rangers. Sam, you don't like them. Me, I think they're underutilized. Love to hear what other people think. So, you know, if you ever want to, you can. Which
Yeah,
I
let us
think,
know. Let us know how much the Axum Rangers suck.
yeah. And we'll give you the social medias at the end of the episode here. I forgot to write them in at the beginning.
Oh yeah.
Or maybe I'll cut them in. Who knows? You'll get them at some point, maybe once, maybe twice, maybe I'll just forget altogether.
Yeah.
Don't know. It's going to be a surprise. Just
Yep.
like the next part of the game. So after you get the 6 star, you head back to Nimbus. The king gives you the royal bus to get the Bowser's Keep, which is the only way to get to Bowser's Keep. And this is where you're going to fight Smithy. So you get you go to the keep there, and you go through the normal route you did at the beginning of the game. You do go on the chandeliers again, but instead of going down, you go up the top of the castle.
Hmm.
And from there, you fight the sword, which you thought was Smithy. It really, I honest to God thought that was Smithy until I fought it.
I did too. I was like, "Yay, here we go!" And I'm fighting this weird fucking sword, and I can be done. Because
Yeah,
I like
this
there was at this point there were like two or three things in a row besides Valentina's boobs that really irritated me, and so I was like, I'm ready to be done at this point. It's a cool game, but not my cup of tea at this point. And I was like, yes, I'll fight this sword and be done.
sword's
But
name is Exor.
yes,
It is not Smithy.
no,
So you fight the sword, you beat up the sword. It was a great battle. Everything was fun. He has 2 eyes on the mouth you can aim at, and you take out the eyes, and that prevents him from hitting you hard. And you take out the mouth, and eventually, when the fight's over, he inhales you into Smithy's factory, like a different dimension almost.
yeah, yeah,
And here you fight all, not all, but you fight smorgasbord of enemies you fought before. Like the Axum Rangers are being built, but they're weaker. Uh,
yeah,
some of the boss characters, Yardovich, Boyer, all those guys, they're in the factory being built, and you
yeah.
fight them throughout.
I actually thought that was cool. It was like going inside behind the game, and like all the different weird enemies were on little assembly lines and were just like kind of grayed out versions of the colorful ones that you saw up top.
Yeah, and it was a great way to just kind of go through again. I avoided a lot of the fights, as many as I could in this one, this part of the game, because I was already pretty much as high as I needed to be to finish it. So I didn't want to fight them all over again. If I could avoid them, I did.
Yeah. And is this wait, we didn't talk about the like six doors. Did we?
Oh, shit. Yeah, you're right.
Because does that happen before XOR?
No, it happened. Oh yeah, you're right. It does happen before XOR. I do have it in my notes here. I just
Yeah, because I did want to talk about these because these
okay, let's
were
go back here and talk
yeah,
about the 6 puzzle doors because I screwed up. So you're back in Bowser's Keep for this one. So as you're
yeah,
running through, you end up at a spot with 6 doors you have to go through, and you have to beat 4 out of the 6 to carry on.
right. I think
Take
I
it away,
ended
Sam.
up I picked the battle rooms because I was like, those I know I can do for sure. And then
Yeah,
like
plus you get experience points.
right, yeah. And the platforming sucked.
Oh yeah.
And the quizzes also kind of sucked. I mean, I played this game in chunks for a while and like just like like what's this random fucker's name? It's like I don't know. Like who cares? Like what
You
the
need
hell?
to learn the whole game, I told you.
Yeah, like I do pay attention throughout a game, but like not to the point where you could give me a fucking quiz at the end and I would know who's
How many
everyone's.
flowers were in the flower garden in Rosetown?
Yes, wasn't that one of the questions? I was like, fuck
I
if
don't
I
think it was
know.
that specific, but yeah, there was some convoluted ones.
There were some weird ones, and it's like um you're supposed to get up to a certain level, like you're on a platform, and as you answer questions correctly, the platform raises one tick. But if you get one wrong, it goes down two.
Yeah.
So I'd start to get flustered. Like I'd get one wrong, be like, oh fuck. And then I get the next one wrong. It's like I'm back at the bottom and I was just like mashing A to get through it because it's like I know I'm not gonna answer a bunch in a row and get up. So
Yeah, and you
those were
can't even
frustrating.
remember where the answer is in the order of it. So if you see the question again, you can't just remember one, two, three, or four, because it'll randomize where the answers show up.
No, they mix it up and they throw new questions in and
Well, I
stuff.
know they
So
throw new
yeah.
questions in, but if you get the same question 2 times in a row, like if you go back in the door a second time, you get that same question again, the answers will be in a
Oh,
different order.
right. Yeah, that didn't bother me too much. It was just like, well, I kind of remembered what I guessed like I have enough of a memory that I could remember like, oh, I guessed that last time and it was wrong, so I got to pick something else. But like and then once you get past the quiz part, there were other like brain puzzles like throughout where you had to like I don't know, like eliminate these things by, oh gosh,
Oh,
like I don't know
counting
how
the
to
barrels.
describe
Like you
these.
had to count the barrels on the 3D plane.
Yes, they were
So
like they were like brain teasers. And I
I
wasn't
didn't mind
prepared
that
for
one.
that. What's that?
I didn't mind the barrel counting one. That one I actually found pretty easy.
Oh, yeah. It was just yeah, I like I said, like the quizzes were shitty, but then once you got past the quiz part, like I thought I found the little brain teasers kind of fun.
Yeah. And the thing about these 4 doors is the quizzes give you rock salt or something at the end of them, but the 2 platformings give you Bowser's and Gino's best weapon of the game, and the two. Did I say platforming? No, platforming gives you Peach and Mallow's best weapons, and then the battle rooms give you Bowser's and Gino's best weapons.
Yes,
So
I think I got Bowser's best weapon out of this
yeah,
one.
Bowser and Gino because you did the 2 battle room
Oh
platforming
yeah,
rooms.
but at this point I didn't have Gino in my party anymore as
Oh,
for the
okay,
most
yeah.
part.
But yeah, I skipped the platforming rooms. I mean, Mallow was never going to be used anyways. He's just sitting the bench
Yeah,
whole time.
fucking
All
get a
right, so
splinter in your ass from the bench, Mallow.
anything else you want to mention for these things before we jump back forward to where we were?
Oh, yeah, no, I just wanted to make sure we
No,
nailed
you
those
were
because
absolutely correct. That was an oversight on my part.
that was a big part of the game.
Oh yeah. But yeah, so after you do that, you do fight the battle on the chandelier, then fight Exor, and now you're inside of Smithy's factory. So sorry for yadaing over those 6 doors, which is probably one of the better parts of the game. But now you're in Smithy's factory. You have a boss fight, which is a giant clock. I liked him. He
Giant
his
clock.
face would change to a different time, and it would be a different effect or attack or something along those lines.
Yeah, yeah, all these different like mini bosses in Smithy's factory were pretty cool.
Yeah, and then second mini boss you fight is Cloaker and Domino.
Hmm.
They're just stacked up on top of each other. Take out one, then take out the other.
Yeah.
No problems with that. But then you get to the factory interior, and you have 4 boss or mini boss fights left. And they're mini boss fights in the sense that they are actually normal fights with a stronger enemy. So it's not like you're actually
Yeah.
having a boss fight here. So you fight the clerk, manager, the director, and then finally the factory chief.
Yep. I like how they're like running it up the chain and like,
Yeah.
oh, like you beat them. It's like, oh, I gotta go tell the manager. I gotta go tell the director. And
Yeah, that was a nice little touch. But when you beat all of them, you finally get a chance to save and a final chance to buy some stuff because you're on to the fight with Smithy.
yep.
And you just did the fight with Smithy. Why don't you talk about it for a bit?
Yeah, like the first one's pretty. Like you fight him twice. That's as
Standard
is. Yeah,
RPG.
as is pretty pretty standard RPG fare. The first fight is I kind of figured out the pattern pretty quick where you've got Smithy who can attack you obviously, and then there's like a weird little like I don't know, what do you call that thing? It's like a smelter, like a forge or whatever, where it like pours the molten uh like lead or iron or whatever, and then Smithy can like turn it into little snippets.
I think you had it with
So
Forge.
yeah, forge or whatever. You can attack the forge. So I was like, well, I don't want the first time the first time I either lost or was like, oh no, I fucked this up because like I realized my mistake was the forge will pour the molten metal out and then Smithy will make little snippets, but it'll like do it every like third or fourth turn. And I think I let it get way too far ahead where there were like three or four sniffets and Smithy out there, and I was like, nope, this is not what I'm intended to do. I'm supposed to stay on top of this like forge and kill these little sniffets. So basically, like it's weird, but ignore Smithy and just fight this forge when you can, and then as soon as it spits out metal to make a sniffet, then you have to focus on that sniffet until it's gone, and then
Yeah.
go back to the forge until it's done, and then you focus all of your attack on Smithy,
Yeah, and
and
it's
that
just
then it becomes pretty easy.
it's a time consuming thing, but it's not a impossible fight. But so you've beaten this Smithy, and then what does he do? He smashes the floor, and you fall down, and you're at the second iteration of Smithy, or the final form of him.
Right.
And I'll let you talk about this one again.
Oh man, I beat my head against this fucking boss for I don't know how many, and then this is another one where like you save before you go into the first smithy, and then you go through and get worked over by the second one. So obviously, playing this in its original version with no save states to save time and all that kind of stuff, you lose. You're going back to the bottom and working your way back up. Luckily, the nice thing is, I think you get like a full heal and full flower restore after you fall through the floor for the first smithy. Like it kind of recharges you so that it's a
Yeah.
fresh battle, right? Um, this kind of threw me for a loop because Smithy like turns into this ugly, weird skull thing, and he's got the Smith hammer, and he's got like a gun glove, kind of like Gino has, and he can smack himself with his forge hammer and like change the shape of his head, and then it has different powers. There's like three or four different phases that he has, but I was thrown by the fact that you could attack the bottom half of him, which comprised of the hammer and the little gun. But all that really does is like temporarily disable it from attacking. It can still transform and shit, and then you're still not really attacking the meat of the enemy, which is the top portion that's shape shifting.
But the
So I think
bottom
that's
does
where
give you some problems though if you don't like stop it. And I would always
yeah,
use mute or sleep. I can't remember which one, but use Peach, and one of her disabling spells will actually stop it from attacking for about 4 or 5 turns.
yeah,
And it
that's
lets
a
you
better way
focus
to
on
do
the
it
head.
if you can. But I was also like usually needed Peach to like run a healing spell, and was like not, it's like you're in that like situation, you're making that choice between, I know I need to use my healing spell or else like party members are going to faint if they get hit again, or I can try to like hopefully successfully use the spell to disable the bottom half. And I
Well,
was
see,
just
my
like,
strategy was Peach was always on heal first and then disable when she had a chance.
Yeah.
But if I was running low on flower points, either Mario or Bowser would be the one who would actually use a flower pot or, sorry, honey jar or something to replenish my flower points.
Oh yeah, no, Peach was never replenishing the honey pot or whatever unless she didn't have anything else to do for the turn.
Yeah,
But I was rarely attacking with her too. But I think the thing that like really screwed me up a few times was like it is kind of a luck of the draw too, because of these four phases, he's got like a one that turns into a tank. And he does have like a one hit kill attack called Magnum that really fucking sucks.
yeah. But at
So
least
there,
it's only on one character at a time.
yes. Oh my god. But there's the tank. There is the like a weird like iron coffin type looking thing. Um, and then there's a question box, like just kind of like the treasure box that you see throughout the game, and it does like a random status effect thing. And then there's this fucking ghost, and that's the one that really screwed me over because you can do a lot of damage against this ghost. It's the weakest of all his forms. So like you'll hit him with Bowser for like 300 damage each time, but he also does these like crazy attacks that will hit your whole party for like a good amount of damage. And if Peach isn't like up next to do a group hug, you can be in kind of a tight spot. And so there were points where I would have the ghost and like kind of get through it and be like, oh shit, I hope he turns into like the, you know, the little like iron box or whatever next so
Yeah.
that I don't have to worry about so much attack. And then he would like hit the smith hammer and turn back into the ghost again. It's like, well, fuck, I got to go through this again. And like, I'm already kind of like, now I'm like behind the rhythm of, you know, attack and heal and stuff like that. And that's where like, and there were a couple points where for some reason it attacked twice in a row. And so it did like whatever the like meteor attack was that hit everyone for like over 100 damage, and then did like the fucking knife attack or whatever that hit everyone for like 85. And like there were a couple points where my entire party just all died at once
Hmm.
from the ghost like form of Smithy. And the time that
Yeah.
I actually did beat him, I stopped and I did some other shit because I was getting really upset with it, and then came back and was like, I'm not even gonna worry about this bottom half. I'm just gonna focus on healing when I'm Peach, and I'm just gonna attack the shit out of this top half and not give a flying fuck about anything else that's happening. And I think I just got luck of the draw and didn't end up facing that ghost all that often. And the battle took a long time, but I eventually just beat it.
Yeah, and
And it was
it's
like
a
one, yeah,
no, I'm just gonna say that the head change is very random, so you kind of get the luck of the draw. And I get what you're saying. It gets frustrating when you get put back on your. Oh, excuse me, they're hiccuped. It gets frustrating when you get put back on your heels there, and you're constantly trying to catch up to with your healing and reviving characters.
yeah, especially when it's like you hear that like that dung dung or whatever he's like smithing his head, and it's like he just turns himself back into the same fucking shit he just was, and then just destroys you. It's like fuck's sake. So like when I got lucky with it, excuse me, got luck of the draw. It was like he was turning himself into that like iron box like a bunch of times in a row, or he would
Yeah,
turn into the or he would turn into the question mark box and turn everyone into scarecrows. And like we mentioned before, like you can still use specials as scarecrows.
which
So
is at least a nice thing there. But
yeah,
did you ever find the ribbon? I'm pretty sure it's like an accessory you find just along your journey there.
I might have, but I don't think I knew what it was because that
A
there
ribbon
was a
in a
point.
square game always prevents status ailments.
Yeah, yeah, that's a nice touch too because that's the same as like um,
Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy. I don't know why I couldn't think of that for
Yeah.
fuck's sake.
So you finally beat him. It was a glorious moment there. You sent me a text at like 10 at night. I was already bunkering down for bed. And it was a convoluted one because I wasn't sure if you were angry because you lost again or if you were happy you beat him. So I had to clarify because I couldn't fall asleep without knowing.
Yeah, what did I say? It was let
Oh,
me
yeah,
look it up real quick.
oh yeah, just some like all caps text with "fuck Smithy," yeah, or no, you didn't even say yeah, you just "fuck Smithy," fuck him in right in the head or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, I was like, "Fuck you, Smithy, you fucking biatch."
Yeah, except for it didn't come off that way at first. I thought you were angry. It's like, oh, you're just giving up on the game now. But
No.
no, you
No, I
beat the
finally
game,
did.
so congratulations. I'm pushing to beat Fantasy Star so that I can meet your standards that you've met mine. So
Yeah, just make
then you
sure you
get
use
the
the
end
walkthrough.
game. One thing I like about Square games, and I'm pretty sure I could say the same about Nintendo games, you get satisfying endings. It's not just like a
Yeah,
block of text like, "Oh, congratulations, the world is saved," and roll credits.
yeah,
There's a big parade, and in the remake, just a beautiful touch. They did the parade, I think, in the original 16-bit style, and then halfway through they switched over to the new style, or vice versa. Pretty sure the way I originally described it, and it was really nice. And I'm not going to get really big into the ending there because it's something you got to experience. Long story short, fantastic ending, lasted the right amount of time. Roll credits, game over. Sam never has to play it again.
no, I'll play it again. Not the original version, but I'll play the remake. I'm
Oh
actually
yeah, the
looking
remake's
forward to it.
better. Well,
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I like how the original looks, but I kind of like some of the quality of life changes in the remake.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how being able to switch party members out affects
Oh, it's a
some of the
game
battle
changer.
dynamic. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I'll love to be able to just like swap out, like probably have Peach and Gino be the ones that I like swap the most. Probably just
Well, I
get
will
get
say,
Gino back in there for some extra oomph, and then
oh yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. I will say one thing about the remake is, oh, excuse me, hiccuped again. I did not have any problems with any bosses in the remake. I found it almost too easy.
Yeah, I'll have to see. Like maybe we can like revisit this at some point, like when I'm done playing it, and I can let you know, like,
Yeah,
oh
we'll
no,
throw
they
it
were
in an
way easier.
episode there. We'll throw a little quick blurb about it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we're already over 2 hours on this episode, minus my 5 attempts at the intro.
Oh yeah, I guess some of those will be shaved off, so maybe
Yeah, maybe the episode will only be
it'll
like
actually
an
be
hour
45
long.
minutes.
All right, so before we wrap things up, I just get into some of the secrets and tips in this game, and there's a couple in this uh, to make the game a little bit easier. You can build levels easily if you find a save point near a star box, where where you hit the box, you get a star, and you just wipe out the enemies around you.
Oh shit.
After you do that and you get all the experience points, if you die in the next fight, you go back to that save box with all that experience, and you can repeat the process and level yourself up.
Really?
Yes, it is a cheap way to play the game, but if you're having a problem, it's probably a good way to level up a little bit in a very quick fashion.
Damn, that's a good one.
Um, Other things in the game, Mario's ultimate weapon. We told you about the seed that you get from the flower in the Bean Valley. There, you also have to find fertilizer, which can be found in a hidden path up in the Nimbus Kingdom clouds. You walk to the right side, and the path is actually, you keep walking off the right side, and you find a shy guy there, or the shy guy that was feeding water to the fire flower. He gives you the fertilizer, and then you go back to Rose Town, and there's a house in the back, and you give that stuff to the guy, and he sits there and freaks out for a little bit. Then he puts it in a pot, and it grows a beanstalk. You climb up top, and you get the lazy shell weapon and the lazy shell armor. I don't remember about the original, but in the remake, the lazy shell armor, I put it on Peach, and no enemy could hit her for more than 1 damage.
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh yeah, and then the lazy shell weapon for Mario is his ultimate weapon, so it's like the gigantic shell. So you
Whoa.
kick it up, and yeah, it does massive amounts of damage if you get the timing right. Other thing, there's a Link cameo and a Samus cameo in this game. Um, when you wake up in Rose Town, Link will be in the bed beside you. You can go talk to him. They'll give you the classic Link dee dee doo doo dee.
Oh, that's awesome.
And
I did not find any of this stuff.
oh, you didn't?
No.
Oh, so after Star Hill, but before you go to Nimbus Land,
Yeah.
uh, you'll find the wake up pin along your route. If you go back to that area, Samus will actually be in that area.
Oh, that's cool.
If you find Great Guy's Casino, you have to beat him at a game called Look the Other Way 100 times. If you do, you get something called the Star Egg. The Star Egg does 100 damage to all enemies and is reusable. It's an item.
Cool.
So, it's a
Jeez.
powerful item. It could just wipe off and most enemies early on. Well, I guess not early on, later enemies, but early enemies will wipe out in one attack. Toadstool's question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark can be found in her chambers if you look at the right side of the fireplace. I suspect it's a dildo. But if you talk to, or if you find it before Peach, you get Peach in your party there, you get a mushroom from the chambermaid. If you find it with Peach in the party, she just tells you not to look for her dildo. But it's
Jesus.
implied, but it's not explicitly said.
Or it's like, I'm sure it's a little bit more innocent than that. It's probably just like, don't look at her panties or whatever.
Yeah. It's, well, if it's hidden behind like a wall in the fireplace, I mean, it's not the pants.
Did
Those
you
don't.
oh yeah, I guess if it's really hidden. I don't see it here, but did you fight Culex?
Not on this playthrough. I fought him like a long time ago, and I don't really want to
Yeah.
get into like the special fight with him, but he's like just an overpowered boss.
It's just funny. Like I'm looking at a screenshot of like it from the original, like the Super Nintendo version, not the remake, and it's just like this like 2D sprite, like Final Fantasy ass boss, like in the middle of like Super Mario RPG. It's fun. It's like a fun little
Oh, it's a
Easter
good
egg, I guess.
homage to like the square side of things.
Yeah. And then they just put this fucking weird ass demon in the game.
Yeah.
But
Um,
there's a big fetch quest or whatever to get it, I think. Like
yeah,
it's
you got to get the
pretty well done.
fireworks, I think. Oh, yeah. Let's see. Just looking at, yeah, okay, you go to Moleville, you purchase the fireworks. Now trade the fireworks at a little Mole's per 10 store for the shiny stone. Then you use the stone on the sealed door in Monstro Town. You end up in a battle with Kulix.
Nice. And then you probably get your fucking ass kicked by this thing.
Depends. I was talking to Danny and said that he had no problem with them in the remake. So again, quality of life changes kind of makes the game a bit easier, I guess.
Yeah. But
There's the three ghosts. You're in Monstro Town. You go to bed. The three ghosts hide the notes behind three different places. One's in Rose Town. One's at the goal line of the Yoshi races, and I can't remember off the top of my head what the third one is. Uh, it's not going to come back to me in time. But when you do that, they give you an item, the ghost pin, and I can't remember what the ghost pin does.
probably
But
something awesome.
oh, we'll see. I have a little wiki open here. Ghost metal raises the defense while attacking.
Oh, that's pretty nice.
I guess. I mean, there's better
Like
stuff out there.
yeah, like I guess if you've selected attack, then your defense goes up for like whatever that turn. That would be awesome if that's really what that means.
I guess. Well, either way, I never used it, so
Yeah.
it is what it is. But there's a couple of other secrets there. And again, I'm not here to ruin the game for anybody, so I'll let if you want to look up the secrets, you can. I mean, it's definitely worth trying to do everything in this game, my opinion.
Yeah, for
Because
like a relatively short, it's not that short of a game, but I mean for a relatively short
about
game
10
or
to 12 hours. It's short for an
yeah.
RPG.
Yeah, and like a relatively small kind of compact linear world, there's a lot of little fun secrets and shit in here.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a lot to do in this game, and I like the fact that the story keeps good pacing. Like there's no real dull moment in the story. And
Yeah.
some games they pad their timing by putting in a lot of just filler and fluff that doesn't actually, enhance the story or add anything to the story. So this game was really
Yeah.
nice that it just kept it nice and tight.
Yeah, it really was.
All right, so ready to wrap this up and score this?
Yeah.
'Cause, it's been over 2 hours now,
Yeah,
and it's past 10 p.m. again, so I'm getting a little bit tired.
this is a big one. This
Yeah,
is
this
big
was a good one.
episode 10. Big meaty episode 10 for all you fuckers.
All right, so all the audience that made it to this point, thank you for listening.
Yeah,
We
thank you. We
apologize for Sam
appreciate you.
calling you fuckers. All right, so what are you going to give this game, Sam?
Um
Out of 10.
in in its original form, like how I played it, I'm gonna give it an 8, but we're gonna put an asterisk on that and I recognize the brilliance. It's just I recognize that it's maybe not my 100% my cup of tea, but I would like to play the remake, and maybe that would enhance my score of the work overall.
Very interesting. So you're giving it an 8. I've already given it a 9.5 once in the last month, so I'm gonna stay true to that, and I'm gonna give it a 9.5 again.
Yeah.
So it's not a perfect game, but for me, it's just fun enough that you can play it over and over and over again, and got a lot of childhood memories on this one. So I have nothing really bad to say about it,
No.
in case you haven't noticed yet. So with your 8, my 9.5, we go to the tier list here. I'm calling this an S tier game, but I'm biased, so you can have the final word on this.
Personally, I'd probably give it an A tier, or
You're dead to me.
just because it's, I reckon, but I will put it in the S tier because I recognize that this is a landmark game. It really, like, this is the game that made, like, if we want to be in agreement and have one tier list, let's throw it in the S tier, because it really, if we don't have this game to kind of pave the way, we don't have Paper Mario, which borrows a lot of the mechanics from this game. Like, if you play
Yeah.
both, then it's like, wow, like Paper Mario, at least on the 64 Paper Mario, at least, like, really is the spiritual successor of this game. Like,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
the Mario Luigi Superstar Saga on the Game Boy Advance, which I've yet to play. I really want to play that, but
Yeah, I don't know
it's
if Nintendo ever would have made a Paper Mario without Super Mario RPG, but
no.
like, yeah, because this is kind of the game that dipped their toe into the waters of RPGs, and then Paper
Yes.
Mario was their kind of, like you said, successors to this without Square.
Yeah, like, the Super Mario RPG is what happens when Nintendo and Square make an RPG, and then Paper Mario is what happens when, I think that's an intelligent systems game, kind of like Fire Emblem and um, what's the fucking the battle, or the thing that just came out with the
I'm
Advance
gonna let you
Wars.
stew on
Advance
this one.
Wars. My God, you're just gonna, yeah. Well, you don't know what I'm thinking, but it's like you're just gonna let me flounder. No,
Oh
like
yeah,
Advance Wars, like those type of, like, you know, they make very high quality games, I think, too. And so, like, that lineage is there, and it's just like
yeah.
the partnership changed, but the spirit of the game is still very alive. I think those both of those games, I think, are more tied together than people probably realize.
Oh, absolutely. All right, so before I wrap things up, I'm just going to go over the social media. If you want to weigh in on anything we've talked about, you can find us at Twitter, and I'm done calling it X. You can find us at Twitter at Retrotopia Pod, and there you can yell at us. You can tell Sam he looks pretty today. You can tell me I'm a horrible person. It doesn't matter. We're on Twitter. Or you can email us and make it more personal at retrotopiapodcast@gmail.com. Or you can join our Discord, which will a link will be in the description of this podcast. And please join our Discord. We got a bunch of people in there, and it's great conversations going on.
Join our Discord.
You can join in on the fun, and you can suggest games in there as well. And we've been pinning them, and we've been trying to add some of them to our upcoming episodes. So if you want to suggest a game, that's a great way to do it. Other than that, Spotify podcast lets you post a comment at the bottom. So there's another way you can, kind of yell at us if you really want to. But that does it for episode 10. So thank you very much for listening. Next week, we're going to be discussing the classic helicopter games. That's 2 games for the price of 1 that were both on the Genesis and the Super Nintendo. That's Desert Strike and Jungle Strike. So next time,
Yeah.
yes, until next time, keep on playing.